Okay, I was actually going to do the intro to Tactical Manager, but now we have the second live watch along here of the channel, Chappelle Football. We have Flamengo versus Chelsea here for the Club World Cup. The game will start in 10 minutes, Flamengo versus Chelsea. We're going to go through the group real quick. I'm going to have also Brazilian Fury around for this one. But essentially, Flamengo and Chelsea play here in the Club World Cup today. It's a big game, and that's what we're going to be covering here. Let me go actually through the table, and then we're going to go through the start. Do they have the starting 11? Yeah, they do. They do. And here's the thing that's interesting about the starting 11. And before we even get to it, let me quickly put my phone to charge and get into this. Flamengo made some interesting choices today for the starting 11. Some very interesting choices. So they're not starting their center forward. They're not starting Pedro. And it looks like Gonzalo Plata will be up top. Maybe Gonzalo will be up top with Luis Araújo. I am not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe they'll play on the counterattack, but Pedro is on the bench. The other choice is they start Danilo. You guys probably remember Danilo that played for Juventus. They'll start Danilo on defense instead of Leo Ortiz. Leo Ortiz is their best center back, and Leo Ortiz also, if I'm not, well, he is with the Brazilian national team. He's been called in by Carlo Ancelotti. And anyhow, he's also not starting. Some very questionable decisions from their coach, Felipe Luis, the left back that played for Chelsea. And that's it. And then you have also Jorginho there in the midfield. He's a former Chelsea player. And they say, Emiliano saying, hey, Tack, why aren't you in the USMNT Gold Cup? I mean, not active in the Gold Cup. What do you mean, Emiliano, by not active? I've been covering the entire Gold Cup, every single U.S. men's national team game, friendly, 7 things. What do you mean not active? You mean like not going to the games? Because the games are all the way on the West Coast. It's a little far. Oh, group chat. I haven't had time to check group chats. So there's not much for me there. Now, with that said, everyone, if you just tuned in, don't forget to smash the like button. Thank you very much for tuning in. Once again, it's a live watch along between Flamengo versus Chelsea in the Club World Cup. Now, Chelsea starting 11, Sanchez on goal, Gusto on the right back, Chaloba on the center backs with Colwell, and Cucurella will be on the left back position. The double pivot right there with Reece James and Moises Caicedo in the double pivot. And then Enzo Fernandez there also in the midfield, more like the 10. And then Cole Palmer out wide and Neto with Delap up top. Actually, we're going to have to see how it plays out in terms of formation. I can also see maybe Reece James a bit wider. I don't watch Chelsea all the time. I'm more of, for it's as weird as this sounds, for this stream, I'm more of the, what should I call it? I'm more of the Flamengo expert in this stream. Now, if you just tuned in, don't forget to smash the like button and share this stream with any Brazilians out there, even though the Brazilians are probably out watching this game. And this game, I believe, is taking place in Philadelphia. I think we're playing in Philadelphia. I am pretty sure we're playing in Philadelphia, or Flamengo is playing in Philadelphia. Let me see. And Brazilian Fury is coming here soon. Brazilian Fury is coming here very soon for the live stream. By the way, he does tremendous work covering. I should probably put his handle in the description. I'm going to put it right now, Brazilian Fury, in the description of this video. But anyhow, as everyone tunes in for this stream, make sure to drop a like, make sure to drop a comment, and let me know your prediction for Flamengo versus Chelsea. In the meantime, give me here a second because I'm going to put Brazilian Fury in the description at Brazilian Fury. Okay. There you go. Save and then share it on YouTube so we get more people here soon. And there you go. There you go. We should be set now for this live watch along. What's my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh character? Merrick. Merrick is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh character. I know he's the villain. Or, I mean, one of the villains. But probably Merrick would be my favorite character. I don't know. You let me know your favorite character. Unless you're talking about cards. And the good thing about this stream compared to the U.S. men's national team stream is that the U.S. men's national team stream, live chat is chaotic, and I love it. I love it. We get thousands of people there. This is a smaller stream, so we can actually interact with each other a lot more and enjoy the game. Now, personally, I don't like Flamengo and I don't like Chelsea. They can both blow up. I don't care about these two teams. Actually, it's not I don't care. I kind of dislike both teams. In terms of which team am I rooting for, I don't really know. I don't want Chelsea to succeed. I also don't want Flamengo to go very far in the Club World Cup. It's a very tough one for me because the Brazilian fan base, and we'll talk about this in a second here, we're not goofy like MLS fans that we just kind of root for every single team in our league. I can't bring myself to root for Flamengo. That's what I'll say. I also don't like Chelsea. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma here today. But Chris, how are you doing?
Good, good. Just family stuff. We literally got back to the house like 5 minutes ago, so got in just in time for all of this. But I think specifically, it'd be nice to see an example of another South American team taking it to an European team and maybe actually pulling a result like Botafogo did against Paris Saint-Germain last night. But who knows? It's Flamengo. They could screw this up just as easily as they could win it 2-0.
Yeah, the thing for me, it's like I lived a few years in Rio de Janeiro, and as a Palmeiras fan in Rio de Janeiro, my life was hell. It was terrible, and it was during the time where Palmeiras was complete garbage when we got
Yeah,
relegated. So for me,
the
there's
first relegation or the second relegation?
the first one in
The first one,
'02.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
second
Oof.
one I was already in the US, and it was a
Yeah.
weird one because we won the Copa do Brasil that year, and we
Yeah.
got relegated the
Got
same year.
relegated. Yeah, which was just
But
competing in the Libertadores as a Serie B side was an interesting year. I'll say that.
But the thing with it with Flamengo is to me there's a special place in hell for that team. So it's hard for me to root for Flamengo. It is true that the way Europeans have been talking about this tournament has been pissing me off to a certain extent, which you almost want Flamengo to just give Chelsea the middle finger, beat them so we can just continue to show. You guys can talk about not caring all you want. If you don't show up, you'll get trashed by our teams. We saw Botafogo defeat PSG yesterday, for example. We saw Palmeiras, Al Ali is not from Europe, but we saw Palmeiras completely outplay Porto, but we saw Inter Miami defeat Porto, which was an embarrassment
Mhm.
for Porto. Benfica, I don't know how the game's going on because it was interrupted, but they were struggling against Auckland. It was like 1-0.
Yeah, it took a penalty kick from Di Maria at the end of that first half. I think it's still on weather delay right now, but Auckland City having a much better showing for themselves in this one compared to what they did against Bayern, which again kind of shows Bayern came in like probably as one of the few European teams that I would say came in taking this thing seriously because they could have just scored the 5 or 6 they did in the first half and then just passed it around for the next 45 minutes and then nothing. But they still did keep going
But I
after
do
all that.
think
So.
I do think for the most part, most Europeans are taking it seriously. PSG didn't seem like they weren't taking Botafogo
The
seriously.
the teams they are, I just think Botafogo had a good strategy for dealing with PSG's super like high flying kind of offense by setting themselves up in a little block and defending really well, forcing Kvaratskhelia to try and make a play, but never finding quite an angle for really accurate type of shots, and then just winning those balls out. Igor Jesus, I think, made a case for himself to be called up for the next Brazilian teams games to wrap up the World Cup qualifiers, in my opinion, as a striker, because he was holding up the ball incredibly whenever Botafogo was putting those up the field and like winning those aerial duels against usually really strong defenders that they have on that roster. So
Yeah, I would say so. It was a tough opponent, and I mean, Luis Enrique himself said it after the game that Botafogo defended better than any team they faced all season long in the Champions League and Liga. I mean,
mhm.
it's also one of those where Botafogo came in with a clear strategy. Botafogo didn't really come into the game to win it. They were like, a 0-0 draw is fine. They happened to get a goal that was luck and competent at the same time. There was some luck with it, but obviously you got to put yourself in a position to get lucky, and
Yeah,
Botafogo did that. But overall, just the defending was fantastic. It was just simply fantastic. But Ryan Evans would say, who are you cheering for, Chelsea or Flamengo? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm gonna try to feel it as the game goes on. I just can't bring myself to root for Flamengo, so I think I'd probably prefer Chelsea to win, even though I really dislike Chelsea. But Chris seems to be more towards Flamengo.
It's like a 60-40 situation because again, it's mostly just the South American kind of solidarity until we get the knockouts and start knocking each other out type of thing. But on the group stages, I like to see the Europeans get taken down a little bit of a peg.
Um, Ryan's also saying, would you guys say the Brazilian league is the best, is the most competitive league outside of Europe? It's between that, Saudi, MLS right now. MLS, Saudi are growing leagues. Outside of Europe, the Brazilian league is most certainly the most competitive one. I don't think MLS is that close to the Brazilian league. You're seeing it with the performances in the Club World Cup itself and the results. And then the Saudi league, guys, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if the Saudi league is better than MLS. I mean, sure, Al Hilal would probably be would most certainly be the best team in MLS, but
The Saudi league has 4 public investment teams that are really good, and then everybody else fighting for the scraps from 5th onwards. So
which
it's really
four
it's a
teams that are
similar
probably better
situation
than
for
MLS, and then the rest is
yeah,
much worse. So
exactly. It kind of reminds me of Portugal's system where it's basically Sporting, as of this year, Sporting, Benfica, Porto, maybe Braga in 4th, and then everybody else fighting for scraps after that same kind of top-heavy situation. I'd argue like the Brazilian league, for the most part, probably the most competitive, I think, outside of Europe. I'd even put in the case for the J League being like on the competitive level, just because you usually get different winners just about every year. It being in a sort of
I
not
mean, Liga
as high level.
MX
Liga
Liga MX
MX.
is better than MLS
Mhm.
and the Saudi league, the Mexican league. Um, that's one thing that we often ignore. But one thing to tell you here, because I was talking about the starting 11 of Flamengo more specifically, and I think a lot of people are coming to this stream also. They probably know a lot about Chelsea for the most part, but English speaking audience doesn't know much about Flamengo. And when I looked at this lineup, there are two things that caught my attention right away. They benched Pedro,
Mhm.
and Gonzalo Plata is kind of playing up top. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
It might
Mhm.
not be Plata. It might be even a Hascaeta as a false nine, or might be a 4-4-2. We'll
Yeah.
see. And Leo Ortiz, their best center back, benched for Danilo. Leo Ortiz was even in the Brazilian national team, and he's benched.
Mhm.
So a couple weird decisions here from Felipe Luis. We'll see how it plays out. I'm sure he has a plan. He's definitely a very qualified and very smart coach. But the game just started, by the way, Flamengo, and I guess now that it started, we can kind of see, and it does look like, yeah, Plata is not playing as a center forward.
No, I think he's playing more as a false nine, and then Arrascaeta is more kind of like a shadow striker, so they're sort of interchanging the positions, which checks out because Arrascaeta is really their main threat in terms of goal scoring for Flamengo. If it's goals coming for that team, it's likely going to come from him, like it's been
Yeah,
the entire year.
it just seems, and Jason seems to be down right now. It just seems like it's interesting because Pedro is a really good center forward, but he's also very
Mhm.
slow. So
Yeah.
the question remains: is the plan here to play in transition on a counterattack? Um, Danilo over Leo Ortiz is definitely a choice, which is interesting. Um, we'll see how it plays out for Flamengo here. Besides that, the lineup was more or less what I was expecting. It was more or less what I was expecting. Um, we'll see how it goes. Ayrton Lucas all the way back to Rossi on goal for Flamengo here. And let me know in the chat, Chelsea fans, Flamengo fans. Let me know if you're a Flamengo fan or a Chelsea fan, because I already see here Steven. He's a Chelsea fan, so he hopes Chelsea wins. So we have a
Mhm.
Chelsea fan. I wonder if there's any Flamengo fans here, because Brazilians are probably watching this at the sports bar, friend's place right now. I wonder if there's any Flamengo fans in the chat, like
think
actual
we
Flamengo
saw
fans.
I think we saw a couple earlier saying they were supporting Flamengo on this one, but again, it could be a situation where just folks are all the balloons in the field too. That's
Well, the question is,
crazy.
are they
Where
supporting Flamengo, or are they like legitimate like Flamengo fans?
right, yes,
I think a lot of them are like this, like diet
yeah,
fun. They
which
just think,
fair, which fair enough. Yeah, not rooting for either. That's fair. We welcome the neutrals as well because
I
that's a
mean, we're
different
neutrals,
footy to
right?
watch. Yeah.
We're neutrals for this
Oh,
one. What minute are you in? I'm at 2:30.
244 right
So you're
now.
like 10
The zone
seconds
said,
ahead.
yeah, the zone feed has me at 245.
Oh, let me actually change the question because we talked about who do we want to win or whatever. Who do we think will win? And I'm going to be honest with you, I think Flamengo is going to win this game.
Yeah, I'm having that feeling as well. It might be another like 1-0 sort of close bout on the stats, but I do think they could sneak a 1-0 win out of this. And I think the Botafogo one probably emboldened them a little bit more after seeing it last night as well.
Well, also, I think Flamengo is a better team than Botafogo, and Chelsea's a worse team than PSG. There's that
Mm,
too. Flamengo is also a very aggressive team, right? It's going to be the thing with Flamengo that's interesting. This Club World Cup is they're a team that I don't see bunkering like Botafogo did for a result. They're kind of
mhm.
against that. The fan base is against that. I don't think they would do that.
No, yeah,
Palmeiras
Botafogo.
would.
Yeah,
Palmeiras would.
100%. Abel's looking at that Botafogo game, and if they end up getting PSG in the round of 16, he's following that game plan to a T after seeing what Botafogo did to them. So
Yes, and to be honest, Palmeiras does have more quality. So
yeah,
if they,
defensively, I think they have better quality than Botafogo at the moment, where they could play that style of game. It's just the finishing from the forwards that is more questionable at this particular moment.
yeah, Palmeiras probably should have had 2 or 3 through Porto himself, and even
Yeah,
Al Ahly, it should have been like 3 or 4. Um, but we'll see here. So far, Flamengo pressing the shit out of
yeah,
Chelsea.
they are.
Not really, not really letting Chelsea play. Like if you're gonna do this and dominate the game, that's where I would probably rather have Pedro.
Hmm.
I don't know, but he went with Gonzalo Plata, the Ecuadorian winger. Um, it's weird because he literally benched the two play. Well, Gerson's also in the national team, but he benched the 2 players that get called into the national team, like Pedro, Leo Ortiz. Like these guys, Leo Ortiz has been getting called in, and Pedro,
Ooh,
for example, went to the World Cup. And here comes Chelsea in transition now. Let's see. Oh boy, Flamengo very much exposed, and Hossi with a beautiful save.
yeah.
Dilap. That's how you pronounce it.
Delap,
Dilap.
Delap,
Dilap.
Liam Delap. Yeah, something like that. But I mean, I like that. I like his signing for Chelsea. I liked what I saw of him out of him in Ipswich last season. Loved the bits and
Yeah,
pieces
it's
able
an
to see.
interesting one.
So
It was a player that didn't really catch my attention, mainly because he was playing for Ipswich. And then they
yeah,
signed him, and he actually looked good last game against LAFC off the
yes,
bench. And today he's starting, and right away, very direct, good run, good finish.
yeah.
Interesting player.
I think he will be a great number 9 choice for Chelsea starting in this next season. I think they're just easing him in at this point.
T is asking, is Flamengo the biggest club in Brazil? T, that's a little bit of a subjective question. The reason I say that is what do you use to measure the biggest club in Brazil? If you're talking about the largest fan base, yes,
Yes,
Flamengo is the biggest club in Brazil. They have the largest fan base. That one is not debatable. Now, if
yeah.
you're
It's been
talking
pulled
about
and everything.
yeah, now if you're talking about like trophies, who's won the most Libertadores and Brazilian League and all that combined, no, Flamengo's not the number one in Brazil. But in terms of fans, yes, they are the largest fan base in Brazil, not debatable.
Yeah.
And a media favorite. The media loves Flamengo. They love it.
And a lot of it is because Global, which is the main channel in Brazil, like the number one in terms of airways, they have their own like radio, TV, print, etc. They're based in Rio de Janeiro as well, and they have, I believe, like Flamengo basis in terms of their fandom, to where they tend to get a lot of favorable coverage, let's say, compared to
Yeah, it
a
brings
couple
a
of
big
other channels.
audience too.
Yeah, it does. Oh,
But everyone, if you just tuned in, make sure to drop a like. And I did also put in the description of this video Chris's channel, Brazilian Fury. So if you like Brazilian content in English and a bit more, I guess I'm a little bit more niched in that sense, but he makes a lot of good Brazilian content in English as well. That's the channel you go to. These 2 channels, Chapelle and Brazilian Fury.
yeah.
And free kick here for Chelsea. Is Reece James actually playing into midfield?
Yes, he is. They put him as one of the double pivots.
Interesting choice. Have they been doing this a lot with Chelsea? Because I haven't been watching Chelsea
I
very
haven't
much
been
ever since.
watching them that much either, but I know James just came back from injury. So I think they had him at right back last game, and then they're doing the double pivot with him this game. So
Pylon's saying so. Flamengo are the Cowboys of the Brasileirão. I wouldn't
Not
say the
really. They've
Cowboys because they
actually won
win.
stuff recently. Yeah,
No,
like they've
they
won stuff and
win.
they won it recently. So
Well, when I say that Flamengo doesn't have the most trophies, that doesn't mean they're not among the ones that do have them. They're like top three in terms of trophies. So they're pretty big in that sense. They win a lot. Flamengo wins a lot of trophies. I believe they have what, three Libertadores? They have, I think, 8 or 7 Brasileirões. They
yeah,
win a lot of trophies. They're not like the Dallas Cowboys. Um,
I'd almost
and
put it to the extent, like in terms of if you're comparing it to like an NFL franchise, they're kind of like the Steelers in a way, where some years they're shit and some years they're really, really fucking good and they win pretty much everything. So it just depends on what phase you do get them.
yeah, I would say in Brazil, there's no like Dallas Cowboys. By Dallas Cowboys, I mean like a massive club that doesn't really win trophies.
Exactly. Mhm.
I can't think of one.
So
Um,
far, this game has actually been having a lot of action for the first 10 minutes. I've been surprisingly impressed. I thought it'd be more of like a one sided affair for one or the other, with one pressing and then the other just kind of reeling back and trying to defend. But both sides have been actually
yeah, they both
doing.
they both had their opportunities. I would say um, they've both been decent. But the thing that's interesting is you would think because let's put it this way, they love to do this, right? If you look up Flamengo market value, I'm going to tell you what it is, and then you put Chelsea. They love to use this, right, based on money spent. So Flamengo's market value is 220 euros, while Chelsea, I'm pretty sure it hits a billion.
Yeah,
Um,
so 220 million to a billion, which
and yeah,
yeah,
1 billion. So you think, well, the spending gap between the both clubs is quite big. So you'd expect Chelsea to be the more dominant side. I actually think it'll be toe to toe with these two teams. And from the
oh,
okay, let me see what just happened. Danilo, Wesley, Wesley with the ball down the right, goes long. Arrascaeta, oh, beautiful ball from Arrascaeta to Gonzalo Plata. Or is that Gerson? That's Gerson. Gerson with the ball on the right. Let's see what he can do here. Oh, great ball from Gerson to Arrascaeta. Woo! Pretty counterattack. Deadly counterattack there from Flamengo.
just
They
lacked
couldn't
on
get the
the
finish.
final bit of passing. Yeah,
No, but it's just incredible to me how when you look at, I think one thing Chelsea probably has is maybe more depth. Um,
Mhm.
maybe. Let me actually look at both benches because Flamengo's depth ain't no joke either. Let me actually check
Ooh,
this. But no, this is a game that I think people also underestimate. Like Flamengo would not be fighting for relegation in the Premier League.
no,
They would not. And I mean, Chelsea doesn't walk through any Premier League side, right? They have struggle. Flamengo on the bench has Allen. He's a really good defensive midfielder, very good on the ball. Leo Ortiz, that's a Brazilian national team center back. Guilherme Varela, Alexandro, the left back. They have Bruno Henrique, Everton, Mikael, Pedro. They have a pretty damn good bench. And then Chelsea, Nicholas Jackson's an option. Madueke, Lavia, he's on the bench today. Andre Santos, that's one that I'm looking forward to seeing today. Hopefully,
yeah,
Andre. Um, no, both teams have good, and Kunku also on the bench for Chelsea. Both teams have players on the bench that can actually come in and make a difference.
yeah.
Um,
That said, Moises Caicedo on a yellow, that's going to change a lot of things here. Like that challenge, Jorginho did not look good.
no, and Moise Caicedo getting a yellow on it. They're saying, what's with the balloons on the pitch? So I think that Flamengo fans just brought in red and black balloons. That's what we're seeing on the pitch. Flamengo
Yep.
fans just bring in.
Mm,
Um, let me actually hold on. They're saying, aren't you both Palmeiras fans? Is this a
yes.
Flamengo hate watch? We're both
Yes.
Palmeiras fans. And for me, yes, it's a bit of a hate watch. But at the same time, we talked about how we're a little bit conflicted with it and divided because the Europeans have been pissing us off with the whole narrative that they don't care. This is a glorified friendly summer tournament, which is not true, any of that. Um, actually, Brazilian Fury even made you made a video with calling out some
Yep.
creators.
Yes.
How's that doing, by the way?
The club world funds, the club World Cup is fine. It's the Euro snobs who are the problem.
Well, and this event has massive potential, Massive, massive potential with the long range. Well, your video actually has almost 20,000 views right now.
Close to it, yeah. And man,
Goal,
yeah,
Chelsea.
that's the problem for Flamengo. They get hit on these counters often, and if you can take advantage of it, stuff like that happens.
But this
They
is what
play
I don't get. If you're not going to play on in transition like Flamengo probably should have, why are you not starting Pedro?
yeah. Oh yeah, that's just a bad, bad clearance from Wesley there. Bad bounce on top of it too, and Neto just has.
Well, this was a game to start Leo Ortiz and also not to start Wesley and maybe start Varela there on the right back. I don't get it.
Yeah,
That was such
yeah,
a shit. What a shit mistake from Wesley, and then Pedro
yeah.
Neto gets the lead for Chelsea.
And Hossie tried. He got like a little bit of it, but not enough to deflect it far enough, unfortunately. So
I also thought the goalkeeper came off his line poorly.
hmm.
The finishing wasn't good. Hey, but look, at the end of the day, just so everyone know, they're saying that's not a handball. I need to rewatch it, but I don't think it hit Pedro
I
Neto's
don't think
hand.
it. I don't think it was either, and it doesn't
Mm,
look like it's getting reviewed either. So
no, it's a goal. They confirmed it. Yeah, they confirmed it. But Flamengo's behind. And behind. You know what's funny here? I'm probably gonna root for LAFC over Flamengo. I just get Flamengo grouped. Imagine out of all the teams, Flamengo was actually handed probably the easiest group, and they end up being the one Brazilian club that doesn't advance.
yeah,
That would be one. Fluminense, Botafogo, and Palmeiras advance, and Flamengo's out. That
and
would
that's the
actually be
thing.
one.
I'm not even that confident on Fluminense advancing either with the finishing they showed during the Dortmund game. Like I could see Mamelodi Sundown sneaking into that second place finish of their group along with Dortmund and Fluminense getting grouped as well.
The thing is, I think Dortmund will beat Mamelodi and Ulsan. So Fluminense has that advantage. I think Dortmund will turn up to beat those. It's going to depend a lot on tomorrow. If Fluminense gets the win tomorrow and then Dortmund also gets the win, then Fluminense goes to the last round needing a draw against Mamelodi.
Yeah,
I think they'll be
that's
fine.
it's more advantageous for them, but it's a wait and see approach there.
They're saying Chelsea, South America is no match for the Premier League. Chelsea haven't even been training. Yes, they have. They're literally coming in from the season. What does he mean they haven't been training?
Typical Euro snob bullshit. Go figure. Like,
Yeah, they had an entire season training.
Like, if you're gonna just say this sort of dumb shit, go the fuck elsewhere at this point. Holy fuck, we're so sick and tired of people.
And also, what are the Premier League teams in this tournament? It's Man City, Chelsea.
Yeah, it's Man City and Chelsea. Those are the only two.
Yes, I
The
guess.
English got limited to two teams because they won the UCL within the 4-year cycle.
Yeah, I like saying they're no match for the Premier League is just nonsense because if Flamengo played like freaking Ipswich, they would beat Ipswich most of the time. And also the whole tired legs narrative, guys. Flamengo has played more games than Chelsea the past 12 months. Botafogo had more games the past 12 months than
And
PSG.
even if you're going in 6 months, for like the 6 month situation from January onward, they're about the same in terms of games because the Brazilian season starts basically in that early January window with these state championships. So
Brazilian clubs don't really have time off. The season ends in like December and they're in preseason like January 2nd.
yeah,
They don't have much time off, if any. Like it's insane. They have like a week or two. So again, it's just one of those where it's like there's a lot of excuses, a lot of bullshit. Again, if Chelsea beats Flamengo, there are no excuses. They're better, fair and square. But
yeah,
we have to just stop with the narratives of like they're tired, they don't care, it's too hot, right? They even say that it's too hot here in America. Well, guess what? The World Cup will be here next year, and you're gonna have to play under this weather, like these conditions. Maybe the time will be a bit better because probably shouldn't put games at noon, but
yeah.
they need to stop with the whole whining. It just kind of makes a lot of the European teams look soft. And we know they're not soft. So just got to stop with it. And it's mostly the fans. It's not really the players.
Yeah, a lot of it is just fans being like this fucking guy over here on chat.
That's why, like, in a normal circumstance, I would want Chelsea to trash Flamengo. But for some reason, the behavior of a lot of the European fans, it just drives me freaking insane. And I think one thing that many people are learning too is like the Brazilian league and the Premier League teams, when you play FIFA, the gap is huge when you play FIFA.
Mhm.
And I think a
Sure.
lot of them are like video game fans. So they see that and like if you play with Chelsea on FIFA compared to, well, the Brazilian clubs are not even in FIFA anymore, right? The video game or EA, FC, whatever. But in real life, the gap between these teams is not that big. It's not that big. And they're kind of getting a little bit of a taste for that because Chelsea's not outplaying Flamengo. It was one mistake from Wesley, which I don't know why he started. Also, probably should have gone with Varela and Leo Ortiz on the back, or even just go with Leo Ortiz as the center back and put Danilo as a very defensive right back. You could have done that.
Mhm.
More experience, right? Less odds, lower odds of making a mistake like that. And look at this. And he's saying, you're right about the FIFA thing. I used to be like that when I first got into soccer. Yeah, one thing people don't realize is like when you're playing the video game FIFA, the gap between the superstar players and the big ones, it's actually huge. So when you play with the European giant and then you play with any team from South America or MLS or anything, there's a huge gap when you play with those teams. But in
Sure.
real life, the gap in general among professional players is much smaller, the gap. So, like for example, MLS and the top five European leagues. There is no doubt in my mind that the top five European leagues are much better. It's not that is not close. But when you play the MLS team, you're seeing it in a competitive game. It's still not that easy to beat them. It's still not that easy. You don't
Mm.
just get a 5-0 win with comfort. It will be tough. The gap between professional players is not as big as many people think. There is one,
And
but it's not that big.
mhm. And I think specifically when we talk about the aspect of media, like video games and the like, um, South Americans are kind of at a disadvantage with like licensing laws and whatnot that sometimes don't permit a lot of these teams and players to be featured in these sorts of games.
So Veg Lover is saying, do you honestly think Chelsea have been doing daily training sessions since their last game? So listen,
Yes.
that's one is yes, one is true. Second, we had international break, so probably during that time they didn't. But here's my question to you: what the heck is like 7 training sessions going to do? Like the Chelsea team is built; they're ready, right? These players played the entire season together, with a few exceptions of signings, which is what DLAP. That's the only one. Everyone else has been there, has been around. You think that magically with 5 to 6 training sessions, Chelsea would have looked like a completely different team? That's not how it works, right? So they have been training. They've been in the United States and they have been training. These players are in shape, and Chelsea is a team. Like they're a cohesive team. So yes, they have been. Chelsea has been
Brother,
training.
you can go to probably Chelsea's Twitter page and they'll show photos and videos of their training sessions within the course
Okay,
of
maybe I
this
should
fucking
do
tournament.
that. Maybe I should do
Just-
that. I can't believe I have to do this. Okay, I'm gonna go to where is it? There is a tweet from, well, this is June 15th. And I mean, the problem is whatever I put on screen, he's gonna say that that's an old picture. But there's a post from Chelsea, June 15th, which is how many days ago? That's like almost a week ago, like 5 days ago or so, with like Reece James training. But I can go. Let me go deeper. Let me go deeper. So they arrived in the United States June 13th. They arrived. So they've been training June 14, June 15. They've been training, but I'm trying to see if I can find something prior to that. Um, well, the week prior, the players were international break. They were training with their national teams, right? The week prior. But they definitely. When was the last game? Chelsea played May 30th.
oh,
Dude, Chelsea played May 30th, the final of the Conference League. That's like 3 weeks ago. And then they went to international. Oh, Wesley got fouled. That's a
yep.
dangerous foul. So Chelsea literally played a final. They played a final like 20 days ago. So they were training regularly and preparing for that. Then the players went to international break. And by the way, a lot of Flamengo players went to international break as well. No, guys, it's not a penalty. It's a free kick. It
No,
was way out of the
just
box.
outside of the box. Yeah.
But that should be a card. Did Pedro Neto get a yellow? Yeah, he got a yellow. That has to be a yellow. Like, they were literally training. It's not debatable. Show a video of training. That's crazy. Guys, I don't have to show it. They literally played a final May 30th. The players went to international break, and right after that, they got together to come to the United States. Right after that. And they've been training. It's just, I'm done with this discussion. Okay, free kick here for Flamengo. A dangerous free kick. And everyone, if you just tuned in, make sure to get those likes up. Right now we have, I think, 36 likes. Let's try to get it to 50, 60, whatever we can. We're actually over 50. So just keep getting those likes up and share this stream. And if you want to subscribe Cross goes in, that's out. If you want to subscribe also to Chris's channel, it's Brazilian Fury. I actually have it in the description of this video. Oh, look who's here. Your best friend, Jeff Carey. Spicy Jeff, Chris, look at that.
Oh, hey. Hello, Jeff. Good to see you again, buddy. How have you been? Well, since yesterday in the U.S.-Saudi chat. Hopefully all's well.
The furry Brazilian.
There we go. Here, Jeff.
Dragon the Abandoner saying, I never played, but are footballers not like basketball players? They just play year-round anyways, whether it's off-season or not. Like basketball, you're playing nonstop pickup games off-season. Some do, but the thing is the off-season with soccer is very short. So I can see why a few players would just take it off completely. It's much shorter. The NBA has multiple months. Professional soccer players don't have multiple months off. So it's a bit different. It is a bit different. So the Benfica game is still not going on against Auckland FC in Orlando. To be fair, the weather has been terrible. They're asking, how did Jeff react to Hervé Renard?
I think there were hot flashes from what I remember and some other very spicy things that would get tagged banned if he was reading them in public from YouTube.
Yeah, and Jeff's reaction to Hervé Renard was a lot. He let's say he really likes the man a lot. Okay. Chelsea tries to go long. Still 1-0 for Chelsea here. Wesley with the ball. Well, at least they're saying Tom Cruise or Hervé Renard. Hervé Renard is taller and better looking than Tom Cruise. So we're going to go with Hervé Renard.
I'd give Hervé Renard the edge on that as well.
He probably would also beat the shit out of Tom Cruise if they got into a fight. Did you see him did you see Hervé Renard just invading the field yesterday and pushing the players away? The American, he didn't even care. The Saudi didn't give a crap.
Nope.
I mean, the guy looks and is built like a James Bond villain. You got to respect him.
Falcon's asking why is Flamengo called CR Flamengo? The CR is for Clube de Regatas, which is like a
sail, right?
Rowing
Sailing.
club. Yeah, it's a rowing club. They used to be like initially they started as a rowing club and then expanded into football and still kept the full name. Due to that, a lot of clubs in certain areas in Brazil will have some sort of rowing motif to it because that's how they initially started club-wise before expanding their activities into different sports. So Flamengo is one of the main examples of that.
It's not just Flamengo too. It's you got to remember the clubs in Brazil for the most part, they're not just soccer clubs. Like for example, Palmeiras, it's Sociedade.
They're like sporting institutions.
Yes, yeah. Like Palmeiras is Sociedade Esportiva, so it's like a sports association. It's like they have multiple teams. Some have like Flamengo has a very good basketball team, gymnastics, swimming team. So these are actual clubs. They have multiple sports. Ryan said, are you guys doing like a watch along for all the Brazilian teams? So I'm doing for a few. I know Chris also did for Palmeiras and Porto on his channel, Brazilian Fury.
Yeah, and I do think I'm going to do Palmeiras Inter Miami as well, but it's been like sparingly. I've been working on script writing another video, so my time's been occupied doing that while watching the games on another screen. So if I do any live reactions, it'll definitely be Palmeiras Inter Miami next week, and then we'll see what else, because I could stream some of the other like clubs that interest me, like another Mamelodi Sundowns matchup or things of that nature. So it's a
Yeah,
wait and see approach.
I don't know which ones I'm doing still. Like Palmeiras in Miami. I'm in Central Florida, so I kind of would like to drive down to Miami to watch the game. I'm still debating that. I debated doing a stream, but it'll probably be on Tactical Manager because Inter Miami is Major League Soccer, so there's a lot of fans interested there. But overall, it's like I don't know. I'm what I'm gonna do here though. I do want to do more of coverage of the Club World Cup. So we're probably gonna here at Chappelle. I might do a video kind of recapping the Brazilians in the group stage, and I kind of want to do a prediction video for the knockout rounds because now that I've seen
Mhm.
all the clubs, I can more or less get a grasp of like what I think will happen. So I might do that.
Right.
Free kick here for Chelsea. Flamengo better bounce back, man. Even though, let's be real, Chelsea's looking a lot better today than they did against LAFC. They didn't look like against LAFC. They really didn't look like they wanted to play that game. It was weird. At least today, it kind of looks like Chelsea wants to, and they are outplaying Flamengo. To be fair, slightly. Gerson with the ball back to Danilo and just tries to go long to absolutely no one, but he got fouled by Cucurella. One thing I was wrong. I mean, the game's not over, but I actually thought Flamengo was going to win this game. But it's not going to be easy to come back from a 1-0. Oh, they're getting the water break, cooling break.
Mhm.
What sucks about the US hosting this event is we can't really have it during the winter because you have to cut off like half of the country. And during the summer, it also sucks. Ideally, you would have the World Cup during the spring or fall. Then you get like wonderful weather throughout the country. Besides Florida, which is hell regardless, right? The weather. Florida doesn't matter when you do it. Even though I said it, I think I was talking to my dad about this. I was like, if the United States wanted to, they could probably host the entire World Cup during the winter in just like Florida and Georgia. Just get those two. You probably have
Mhm.
enough stadiums, and the weather would be very good during the winter. Georgia might, well, it'd be kind of cold in Georgia, but Florida during the winter is like the perfect soccer weather during peak winter, right? Let's see. There's the Benfica game. Is it gonna go back? Are they just gonna cancel it?
Is it like a hurricane warning that's going on there? I'm assuming,
No,
or
I think it's lightning. There's no hurricane in
oh,
Florida
like
right now.
oh wow. Mhm.
We do have this here, like when we play soccer here in Florida during this time of the year, we have to stop multiple times because of lightning. I'm wondering how it's going to go next year in the World Cup because the world is not really accustomed to these weather delays.
Yeah.
And it's been happening a lot. And the World Cup is around the same time next year. So we're
Mhm.
going to have similar issues. I wonder how they're going to address because you can't really control the weather. There's not much you can do. So,
Unfortunately.
yeah. So I don't
Unless
know.
you're constructing like closed off domes altogether for this sort of stuff, and there's not enough of those in the US to like accommodate like that amount of World Cup matches. So
Yeah, there's not much that we can do about that because, I mean, we can't build that on time. The World Cup is literally exactly 1 year away. By the way, did you watch the United States game yesterday?
I only caught the highlights of it, but I know it was one of those like, yeah, you guys won, but at the same time, it wasn't that impressive of a victory from at
Oh,
least what
on
I
the
could tell.
contrary, it was a horrendous game.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys won, but it didn't look that impressive at all, is from what I could see.
Well, when was the last time that you watched the U.S. men's national team play and you're like, wow, this was fun? They look good. When was the last time?
Probably when BJ Callahan was the interim coach.
Yeah, that was in 2023. That's probably the
There you
last
go.
time. Ever since, it's always like a win that you're like, yay, we won, but what the fuck just happened? They're saying, what are the chances of lightning actually hitting someone? It's really, 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 really slow. But there's this thing here in the U.S. called lawsuits, and that's very, very dangerous here in the United States. So and very expensive. So everyone plays it as safe as they can. But the reality is the odds of a lightning actually hitting someone in a soccer game, it's very, very low. But a lawsuit hitting you is definitely not low in the US. It's pretty high. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
Flamengo with the ball here. Luis Araujo. All the way back. And what are the other games today, actually? Let me see. Because we have Flamengo right now,
There's
Chelsea,
I
LAFC,
think Book and Bayern is tonight. It's the
9 p.m. one.
9 o'clock game Eastern time.
That will be an interesting one because Bayern
Mhm.
clearly took the first game seriously. They completely trashed Auckland, and Boca is definitely taking it seriously. So it would be interesting to see how. Well, we saw already Botafogo, but Boca hasn't really been good by any means in South America.
Yeah.
Just to see how they do against Bayern. Where's the game, by the way? Where are they playing? Let me see.
That one, I think it's in Miami. Off the
Miami.
top of my head.
They play
Yeah.
at Hard Rock. It's in Miami.
So yeah, the Boca fans will show up for that one, just like they did for the Benfica one.
Yep, they're probably there already. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
And Chelsea here in possession. The problem with Flamengo in this game so far is, if you think about it, they haven't really created any meaningful goal scoring opportunity. To be fair, neither has Chelsea, right? Besides the goal.
They had the one, but yeah, everybody else, they've sort of been just attacking, counterattacking, countering a counterattack, and then just not really finishing opportunities per se.
Juanito is saying, what are your thoughts on the Botafogo match? Well, first and foremost, it was a historic result where Botafogo, that is a mid-table team right now in the Brazilian league, they managed to defeat the team that was literally rolling over every single team in Europe. Now, Botafogo and PSG, if they play each other like 50 times, PSG will probably win like 47, 48. And that was one of the games where Botafogo posed the win. They came in with a clear strategy of not conceding a goal. And we talked about this earlier in the stream, where they put themselves in a position to get lucky. And the goal, for the most part, from Igor Jesus was lucky. But you got to put yourself in that position. Like if you go into the game and you get trashed 3-0, it doesn't even matter if you get an opportunity to score. So I think Botafogo came in with the right strategy and the right mindset, and they were able to pull a massive result. Now, of course, if they play PSG tomorrow once again, they'll probably lose. They'll probably lose, but they got the job done. And I mean, I hope Palmeiras learned something from that, because there are high odds of Palmeiras playing PSG in the next round, and Palmeiras will have to take a similar approach. Palmeiras cannot go in and try to outplay PSG. They say, I can't believe you thought players train to get better. Well, every training session is to get better, to be sharp with your touch, physically. But when I'm talking about training, is for the team to get better. The more a team trains together and plays together, they become more cohesive. But yes, the players mainly train to stay sharp, besides young players that are still developing. But of course, players in age 25 beyond, they're not really getting better at a technical standpoint at this point in their careers. It's mainly to stay sharp. But Chelsea was not, you can't bring up this bullshit saying that Chelsea wasn't doing anything for a week. That is simply not true. The players were, so listen, if you're putting in that perspective, all the Chelsea players that were international break, were they not training? Like Cole Palmer's playing with England, they're not training. Like I that's what I don't get.
It's rocks for brains type of knowledge. I just ignore this guy at this point if he's just going to keep saying the same type of bullshit. Like, there's no point arguing. Like, it's clear.
Does he really think Chelsea just got into the US, went to Disney World, dressed up, and started playing Flamengo? That's what
Yeah,
happened?
pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems to be what he's implying here.
Well, hopefully they had a good time in Disney.
No shit.
Oh boy. And Flamengo now in possession. Léo Pereira out wide to Ayrton. Danilo playing as a center back here for Flamengo. Danilo with the ball. Gonzalo Plata. Yeah, man, they kind of need to get Pedro on. They need that reference up top. Arrascaeta tries to go through. Chelsea and Sanchez will clear it. Ball to assume there's anything in his head. Oh, and here comes Pedro Neto. Veg lover, it's what we said, and this is the last time I address this. The Chelsea players were training in one way, shape, or form. Whether it was for the national team, whether it was with Chelsea returning, they were training. They were not at home sitting on the couch. They were not at home
Like
sitting
you.
on the couch. Like you, exactly. They were not doing whatever you're doing or whatever I'm doing or whatever Chris, they were not doing that. And on top of that, they've been training at least for the past week in the United States, at least. But anyhow, we're done talking about that. And they're saying, Jeff with a serious question. Finally. He's saying, is there a chance for Boca and River in the Club World Cup? I haven't really checked the bracket. I don't know. It's also going to be very tough for them to go very deep. Like, I think at best, these teams are going to get to the round of 16 at best.
Yeah.
So, is there a chance? Maybe. I haven't checked the bracket.
I
Will it
think if they
happen?
were to meet, and I can look into this here while we kind of cover the game and whatnot, because they with the grouping portions, once it gets into the round of 16, it does split kind of considerably to I guess avoid any sort of rematches from like the immediate like neighbor groups against each other in the quarterfinals. From what I recall, it's yeah, because Boca is in
I'm
okay,
looking at
Rivers
the
in Group
bracket.
B,
Yeah.
Boca's in Group C. So a
Well, I can.
matchup between them probably if they managed to be in the same brackets, if one managed to win their group and the other was a run in it, it could possibly happen by the semifinals, but we don't think they'd be getting that far. I think semifinals is like the ceiling for a matchup like that
So
to
it's
happen
groups
if they
E
were
and
to go through.
C. Groups E
Yes.
and C. So let me look at the bracket here real quick. Groups E and C. Okay, so groups E and C. The winner of group E is in the same bracket as the winner of group C, but they only meet at the semis, and the same applies to the other. So best case scenario, they'll meet at the in the semifinals, which I'm sorry, that's not happening. That both will get there. So
Yeah.
the odds of Boca and River facing each other is pretty close to zero. Um, yeah, it's not happening. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
There's an ironically better odds for like a Palmeiras Flamengo matchup in the quarterfinals if things shape up the way that they are like right now if this result of 1-0 stays. So
Yeah, quarterfinals would be manageable, even though I think the Argentine teams are worse than the Brazilian teams. There's that as well. If I'm going to pick
mhm.
a side to make it the quarterfinals, the Brazilian teams have been much better in the Libertadores. So I would go with that. It's not impossible, but River Plate and Boca both making it to the semis, I don't think there's even a 1% chance of that happening. And with that said, free kick here for Flamengo, 41 minutes in. Oh, Zico's in the
Zico
stadium.
siding.
Zico's in the stadium. Who are the top five players in the Brazilian league right now? Well, I'm going to try to do this from the top of my head. Estevão has to be one of them. To me, Arrascaeta from Flamengo has to be one
Yeah.
of them too. Probably Gerson, I would say. Gerson has to be up there.
To me, yeah, those three that you mentioned would be on the list. I'd put probably Zagatti over at Vasco. He's been scoring at like a ridiculous pace so far this year for a team that hasn't really had a lot to write home about. So like him. And then for a
Would you say
fifth,
Memphis Depay is among the best? Because
I,
he
it'd be between him or Yuri Alberto, one of those two. But I think Yuri Alberto's production's been better because of Memphis Depay being there for him as his like assist machine. So
John
yeah,
Arias is freaking good too. John Arias
yeah,
from
John
Flamingo.
Arias as well. I actually would put John Arias over Gerson in my opinion. Gerson's kind of a borderline for me on the top five.
Yeah, it's hard to put like the top five players because also then you have to start going by position. And then, for example, Leo Ortiz that we talked about from Flamengo has been incredible for Flamengo.
Yeah.
Thiago
Then
Silva
there's
continues to be incredible. Gustavo Gomes for Palmeiras has been incredible.
yeah, and then Leo Jardim over for Vasco as well, basically bailing them out in multiple games at
Ooh,
keeper as well. Oh,
saved
yeah,
right on the
that's
line.
Flamengo's pushing it. They could eventually get that tying goal sooner or later. It's just one of these chances have to fall for them.
Yep, that
Yeah,
was
that
kind of
was
tough.
going in. It wasn't for the goal.
They're saying Richard Rios. Yeah, Richard Rios has been really good in the Club World Cup, but during the season for Palmeiras, he's
He's been
oscillated.
inconsistent.
Yeah, so I wouldn't put him among the best because he just hasn't really been consistent for Palmeiras during the season.
He was just the kind of guy that like turns up at tournament, cup level stuff, but in the league, he's kind of hit or miss depending on what day you get him. Like some days he'll look brilliant, some days he'll look like dog shit. It's one or the other.
Yeah, but he definitely.
I
Yeah,
love
you're
him. I
right.
love him, but he's inconsistent.
You're right about cups. Like he turned up for the Copa America, for example, with Colombia.
Mhm.
He's a cup guy. He likes these big
Eh,
moments.
yeah, and even in Copa do Brasil and even in the Libertadores, he's done well for himself in those. It's just at the league side of the spectrum, it just depends on the day.
Mm. Now,
And then Pilot,
if Chelsea wins this game, like the Europeans are going to say that they won without caring, right? That's what that they don't train. That was the argument, right? They don't train. Chelsea doesn't train. Oh boy. Then Veg lovers saying, I think South Americans will struggle to keep this tempo for 4 weeks. They're already 60 games deep. Um,
more like 30, more 30-ish, and these this sort of weather is not unfamiliar to us. We played that the second half of the year because our spring to summer down there happens during the this eventual portion for like the middle of this year until the end of the year. We start getting the hot temperature. So
I also think the South American teams are kind of used to this intensity in general with the Libertadores, Flamengo, Palmeiras. I don't think they'll feel it. I just think what's going to happen is when push comes to shove and we get to the later rounds, I think quality will rise. And I think that just the European teams at the end of the day will be the winners. We could see one South American go deep to like a semifinals, for example. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty convinced and pretty certain that the final will probably be two European sides, in my opinion.
um, I think for us, from the Brazilian team standpoint, if one makes the quarterfinals under this format, I think it will be considered a success, especially if that round of 16 win comes from uh, beating an European side. So there's that to consider there. But I think realistically, right now, you can see that the gap is closer than most people think, but there is still a gap.
This is an interesting take that I saw on Twitter about like the Europeans, right? The Europeans or UEFA, they want money from people all over the world with TV broadcasting merch. But when it comes down to play a tournament where the entire world can play in it, they don't care and don't want to play anymore. It's an interesting way to see it because that is true. They want to market themselves for the entire world, the Premier League, UEFA, Champions League, La Liga. But then when it comes to have a tournament that is inclusive, right, it's bringing the entire world together so we can all face each other, then all of a sudden, a lot of the European federations, leagues, and even clubs, all of a sudden they have an issue with it, right? Um, it's very
It's
interesting.
yeah, it's a situation in which it's when you look at it from like a macro perspective, it's basically a dick measuring contest right now between Infantino and FIFA and UEFA. Over the past 20 or so years, we've seen UEFA kind of getting their game globalized with media rights. The Bosman rule really getting used to its full effect with the sort of like less limitations on foreign players coming into European leagues and thus encouraging these European sites to buy like South American players for pennies on the dollar rather than paying like the sort of ridiculous values you see like English leagues paying for like Spanish league guys or vice versa and things of that nature. Uh, with the Club World Cup is just a situation in which I think UEFA did eventually relent on this because of the prize purse being as big as it is, but I think this sort of like fight from them is going to continue until FIFA decides to cave in and include more UEFA clubs into the fold, which they've already been talking about apparently as a point of conversation after this edition of the Club World Cup is done. So, like, for as much shit as we give FIFA about them being a corrupt foundation that is doing this for the money first and foremost and their own infamy, UEFA are not innocent on this by any stretch of the imagination either. So we got to figure out a way of like getting the scales balanced to where we can have a competition like this, but maybe not kill players with fixtures from across the globe in those
Well,
circumstances.
I mean, there's a lot of things that can be done, right, to reduce this. But one thing is for sure, I can assure you, the moment UEFA or Europe host the Club World Cup, European fans will buy into it. They'll love it. They'll travel to whatever country it is. They'll pack the stadiums. They will love this. It's because they're being told, and no offense to a lot of the European fans, but they do normally do what they're told for the most part. They don't like to question things. And Europeans here, they're being told by their media, they're being told by the oligarchs and all that they need to hate this. They need to hate this competition, right? And the fact of the matter is, this is a very fun tournament, and it's been enjoyable. And I was skeptical of it before it started, and I have no shame and no issue saying right now it's been a major success, and it has a lot of potential over the long term. This is the first edition.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Jeff Carey, what are the biggest rivals in Brazil? Actually, Chris has a good video of a good rivalry there. Very unknown.
yes, the Grêmio Internacional rivalry in Brazil, the Grenals it's called, one of the biggest ones in the country. You can go by each state in Brazil, and you're gonna find a heated rivalry of some sort. I think the most well-known ones, just because of media coverage and whatnot, would be the Grenal would be one. Fla-Flu between Flamengo and Fluminense would be another one. Clássicos dos Milhões between Flamengo and Vasco da Gama. The Derby Paulista, which is Palmeiras Corinthians. Choque Rei between Palmeiras São Paulo. Cruzeiro and Atlético Mineiro is another big one over there as well. The Bavi, Bahia Vitória in the Northeast, huge one as well. That doesn't get talked about as often as it should. So, yeah. I think, and also to emphasize Jack's point from earlier about the UEFA situation, if you want an example of them going from, oh, we hate this so much, it shouldn't exist, players need a break, blah, 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 to, oh, we actually kind of like how this looks. Take a look at the new format of the UEFA Champions League that just happened this past year. How much people were against it during the announcement, and then suddenly it gets played for a season. It's like, oh, it's the greatest fucking thing since sliced bread. So
Yeah,
there's a certain level of hypocrisy here when it
just
comes
to
to this
add
stuff.
about like rivalries in Brazil, it's like there's rivalries everywhere. In terms of like the biggest one, again, you have to tell us what's the criteria, right? Of like what's the criteria for the biggest rivalry? Because if you're gonna go based on like rivalry of greatness, right? Trophies and fan base, Palmeiras and Corinthians is massive. Cruzeiro and
Mhm.
Atlético Mineiro, Flamengo e Vasco, Fla-Flu, Flamengo Fluminense, Grenal that he mentioned. So it depends on what you want, because Brazil also has some insane rivalries in states that have just maybe a smaller fan base, and
Yeah,
and clubs that have less resources, so it's not marketed as much. So depends on what you mean, but like in terms of just like trophies and history and size, Palmeiras and Corinthians is probably among the biggest ones, if not the biggest. Um, but it's a tricky question. And Daniel saying, "Hey Chappelle, dropping a thank you for the great Brazilian football videos. It's surprisingly hard to find good source to educate my non-Brazilian friends." Thank you very much, Daniel. And Brazilian Fury, Chris, that's below me, also does a great job with that. He's not as niched as myself, but he does plenty of Brazil content, honestly covering certain topics that I don't cover. So go check out his channel as well, and you'll see a lot of Brazil videos that I haven't talked about or I haven't made anything about.
it's kind of a
Um,
nice balancing act because Jack covers more of the modern side of the game, I would say. I've been more on like the historical side with rivalries or certain concepts of it.
Yeah, yours is I do make some evergreen content, but my evergreen is more based on what's happening now, while
Yeah,
yours is just evergreen of stuff that has happened, is happening mixed up, right? Like a
yeah,
rivalry, the Grenal.
exactly,
That's
exactly,
now and
yeah.
ever. Like it's mainly that. Let me see here. Falcon is saying, "What would be your Yu-Gi-Oh monster starting 11?" That's a tough one
Hmm.
because I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in quite some time, and I'm trying to remember all of the names. But we have to
I
go with the three Egyptian gods, right? Maybe
so
Obelisk can be the goalkeeper because he's a big dude. Ra can be one of the center backs, and Slifer, is that the name of the other one? Was it
yeah,
Slifer?
Slifer or Cyrus, depending on which version you're going with here.
Blue Eyes
So
White Dragon. There's also the Red Eyes Black Dragon. There's the Dark Magician. Was there Jinzo too? There was something like that. What was
Jinzo,
it?
yeah, Jinzo. I want to say Jinzo the Destroyer. Off the top of my head, it's been a while since I've read it, but I know he's the destroy all trap cards in the field card once you play him. I think for me it's interesting because I did reread the series on the Shonen Jump app not too long ago, so a couple of these are familiarized to me again. I'm not as versed on like the newer versions like GX, 5Ds, and etc. But I put Exodia on Go just because of how massive in size that fucking thing is.
But he's like 5 cards, right? Or would he count as one?
I think it would count as just like one combined card with all five of them together for the keeper, just an unstoppable force and goal for me personally. So that's why I would take. I would put the Dark Magician Girl duo as probably my double pivots in the midfield, just to have that cohesion there to feed passes forward. Probably uh, Blue Dragon probably would be my striker, to be honest. Just a massive fucking unit of a thing that can just get in there and score. Um,
They're also saying, what do you like more, Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon? Pokemon very easily.
I'm more of a Pokemon person. I like them both just fine, but I grew up on Pokemon a little bit more than I did Yu-Gi-Oh, just
Well,
because of
Pokemon is just
Yu-Gi-Oh.
much more popular in general.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I mean, the thing is too with Yu-Gi-Oh, there was a moment in time where Yu-Gi-Oh cards were very popular, playing against your friends and everyone. But Pokemon is like a cultural phenomenon. It's something way above like anything. It's like the biggest, most profitable franchise in the world. It's like Pokemon Go, the Pokemon games for the Switch, for the Game Boy, for Nintendo 64, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon
Yeah,
toys, Pokemon cards. It's just way
exactly.
bigger.
To me specifically, what I'll say is when it comes to Pokemon, I can point this out that I think the closest moment in which our universe as a whole probably achieved the closest thing to world peace humanly possible was those first 2 weeks in which Pokemon Go was out. Because holy crap, everyone went the fuck outside for 2 weeks just playing that fucking game. If Niantic actually had like the server capacity that they have like in current era Pokemon Go back then, oh man, I would have I think caught on even more than it did, which is crazy. What do we think
um,
about individual player intros? Yeah, not my favorite, but I understand them trying to do something different for the tournament to give it an extra boost.
I think they're trying to also appeal a little bit to like an American audience. That's what, like, these are the entrance of like NBA players. They do that, right? The intro. Um, I'm not a I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's a little cringe, and you can tell that the players didn't really buy into it because the players in the NBA and all that, when they do, they sometimes come in with a dance. There's like some hype with it because it's part of the culture. With soccer, it's not. So it seems a little bit forced. I mean, it's not really a big deal. I'll put it this way: it's not like ruining the game or anything. But if you were to ask me, like, keep it or leave it, I'll say just leave it out. Like, there's no reason to have it. Um, Veg Lover, let's see. Guys like Mark Goldridge and Tack know there's no intercontinental rivalry in real life, but it gets them traffic. Brazil football culture runs deep in Europe. No, there is no intercontinental rivalry, or not legitimate, because the teams from different continents don't really play each other enough to create a rivalry. Like, to create a legitimate rivalry, you kind of need stories. A lot of games need to happen. Things need to happen. And if you don't play each other enough, it's just not going to happen. However, there is a bit of a rivalry in terms of the fan base when it comes to these very silly takes of like European superiority, which again, I think the European teams are better. They spend more money. right? They go to South America and they raid all the clubs, they take all the best players. But I just don't think the gap is very big. So there's this debate among fans, but there's not really a legitimate rivalry between the clubs because they don't play each other enough. You need to be playing each other pretty much every year to create a rivalry. Every year. Like and still that doesn't mean it'll become a rivalry. And rivalries come from an organic standpoint. You can't force it. Um, Zach, is that BJ Callahan as the commentator? Why? BJ Callahan? No, you're talking below me. That's Chris. He doesn't even look like. Or you're talking about on TV. Where did he get BJ Callahan? Jeff Carey, I saw your chat and I am not answering that. I don't know
No
what the
worries.
change.
I got him covered on that. We're good.
Okay, okay, Jeff. So hopefully he's gonna be the guy. Also, is gonna say it's totally not him that he's talking about. Wait,
I
BJ
guess
Callahan
I
was on
guess
TV.
I guess he's on TV covering it. That's cool that they're getting
Mm-hmm.
a couple of voices for that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And everyone, if you just tuned in, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and blah, blah, blah. You guys know the deal. And then go check out our videos after. If you're new here, if you're not new here, you probably already checked out the videos.
I think last I checked, we had 79 people watching and 69 likes, which nice on that, by the way.
Nice.
But yeah, appreciate you all coming through. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm glad we hit 69 likes. We made it once again. And Jeff is saying thank you,
Did it
Chris.
69 likes? That's the important part. Of course, we got it.
So BJ Callahan was on TV. Let me see. Daniel said, there's an argument I've had recently. I'd like to see you guys think. Are football fans power scaling nerds? What do
Yes,
you mean? What do you mean by power scaling nerds? Can you define that for me? I'm trying to understand it.
it's basically the equivalent of like comparing a certain team, I guess, in terms of football slash soccer, comparing a certain team's power by comparing them to other teams around their leagues, the continents, etc. And I think football fans are massive power scaling nerds on that aspect for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. If that's the definition, yeah, they are. And a lot of the discussions too are just very subjective, right? Which you never have the answer to. Like this league's better than that league. You never really have a legit. The only way, like for example, the only way we would know, like if this league's better than that one, is if we took an entire season where all the teams from those leagues, like they play each other, and then you get the overall data of all those matches, and you can start drawing some conclusions. And even so, it's just one season, so it's not like a lot of data.
Yeah,
But that would be something like these one-off games. All that it shows us is how competitive all these leagues are and how they're much closer than people think. But you would probably need all the teams from the league, like from the worst ones to the best ones, to play each other. And we're
yeah.
never going to get that. It's never going to
Yeah,
happen.
but what I think is a proper critique of the tournament itself and the selection process of it is that yes, it's a 4-year cycle of qualifications, but a team that wins, say, this year's Copa Libertadores is going to look a lot different 4 years from now, which thankfully, like with Palmeiras being an example of that, there's still 9 members of that 2021 Copa Libertadores roster on this team right now, but there's been a lot of turnover as well. And then you look at, say, Fluminense and how radically that team's changed from the Libertadores when to what they are now. Chelsea is a good example of that, winning the 2021 Champions League and how different they are from that team that was winning that particular tournament now as well. So there is something to say about certain teams getting invited to continental cups, but also like maybe not being in their best forms compared to the cup winning scenarios. All Ain and Urawa Red Diamonds are really good examples of that. And with how you kind of saw them kind of get squashed by River and Juventus, respectively, in this past round. So,
Let's see. Oh, they're saying because football fans I've met refuse to admit they're nerds.
oh, there,
Well,
it's sports nerdom happens. It's just sports nerds tend to not be very adamant about admitting that they're as nerdy as the other hobbies that they tend to look down on. I have seen that experience.
yeah, they think because they're like sports fans, they're above like a guy that, let's say, their hobbies to play video games. Like, oh, that
Exactly.
nerd, which is it's not much different from sitting down and playing Call of Duty for 7 hours or watching soccer for 7 hours. Like,
Yeah.
it's it's weird because the word nerd, it's been changing, but it's always been seen as like something negative,
Mhm.
which it's like, I mean, look, guys, I play a lot of sports, a lot of soccer, basketball. I can surf, which all of that will put like into like the non-nerd scale. But I freaking play my Nintendo Switch. I collect Pokemon toys. I watch anime, which all of that will fall on the nerd category, right? So it's just kind of right. It's kind of silly when people see it as a negative thing. Like, you talk to football fans, like, "Oh, you're a nerd." It's like, no, I'm not. It's like, even if you are, who cares? Who cares?
Exactly.
And Jeff Carey is saying, and I'm afraid of reading this, but let's give it a shot. Let's see if it's something serious. What
Yes.
three teams that didn't make the Club World Cup would like to see in the tournament? Like, Jeff with a serious question.
Yeah, man. Jeff out here delivering the stuff, spicy and non-spicy. So thank you for that, Jeff. I appreciate it. I'll go on my side because I can think of them already. To me, I would have loved to have seen Barcelona in just because I think Lamine Yamal would be doing like highlights in this tournament with the style that he plays. As you mentioned in your Neymar video, he's kind of the next representation of Jogo Bonito that we do have due to his fandom for the guy. I think seeing the Arne Slot Liverpool in this tournament would have been intriguing as well. Um, and then I'll go with a non-European pick on that side just to variate. Well, I would have liked to have seen Club Leon actually do it because James Rodriguez turned up in Copa America the last time we had a cup of this situation happening. I would have loved to see what he would have done for this Liga MX side and how they would have performed. It's a shame about the multi-club ownership bullshit kind of fucking them over from a spot that they rightfully earned in this tournament. But if we had to see one of those three teams, I would have liked to have seen what Club Leon would have done in this tournament.
I'm gonna try to expand on this question. I'm gonna say Barcelona and Liverpool are obvious picks for me as well because they would actually be title contenders in this one. It would be interesting. I would love to see Lamine Yamal here, and I just think Liverpool. I mean, they're the Premier League champions. I would love to see Liverpool. So outside of that, I kind of would have liked to seen better MLS sides. Maybe I would like to have seen maybe Columbus Crew play, right? Something like that, just to test it out a bit more. I would have liked to have seen Club America, the biggest club in
Mhm.
Mexico, make it. I thought that would have been interesting as well. And last but not least, I kind of wanted to have like one more club from Japan.
I think for me, if it had been them 2, 3 years ago, I would have easily slotted in Kawasaki Frontale for sure. I would probably, if we wanted a Japan rep, but not necessarily one that may have won the FC Champions League, if Japan had to send a representative for whatever reason, Viso Kobe would have been interesting to see since they've won the league the past 2 years in a row on their side. And they've had
Frontale
a
when
decent
they had
record.
Leandro and Mitoma.
Exactly. Yeah, that Frontale that was just basically dominating the league for a couple of years for sure.
Yeah, I even talked to Leandro in the TST about that, and he was like, Mitoma is incredible. He was talking about one of the best players he's ever played with. And I mean,
I
Leandro's
believe
played
it.
with some pretty good players
Yeah,
like Neymar.
yeah, I fully believe it. If he's the one saying that, 100%. So
Um,
Daniel Jean followed up with a pretty good question here in this case. So Juanito has some good suggestions as well, teams wise, from his side too. So kudos for that. Just
but
before that,
it's saying serious question here. Pele and Neymar feel like the natural transitions from one Brazil era football to the next one, and they do reflect Brazilian reality. Who's the potential next like player to take over? Well, first thing, there were other players that led different generations, right? It's definitely not
Yeah,
just
Zico is right there in between those two. Just as a heads up for those who are not
Zico in
familiar.
the 80s, late 70s, 80s, even the 90s with Romário coming in and then Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. So there have been
Yeah,
plenty. Now, in terms of this generation, it's kind of tricky because it seems like it's a bit, there's a lot of talent, but you don't really see that one guy. One would think Vinicius would be one of them, but with Brazil, he hasn't really shown to be the man yet.
yeah. I don't
Rodrigo,
think. Yeah, I don't think we've seen that talent yet. I think is what. would be my answer to that particular question. We may see them come 2026. We may not even see them until 2030, to be completely honest with you. So it's a wait and see approach on that one.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. So, um, but I mean, Brazil's an interesting one because in the next World Cup, many don't think they really have a shot of winning the World Cup, which is so silly because they have possibly the best coach in international football. We're gonna find out very soon. And in terms of just like talent of the players, Brazil is like top three, top four. If you look just talent on paper, it's just something that I thought about, and I plan on probably making a video about that of just like the pessimism around Brazil. I think it's blown out of proportion. It made sense before like Ancelotti, but they definitely will come into the World Cup as a contender. Not
I
the
just
best
think,
team.
yeah, I just think that specifically to that attack, and sorry for interrupting, it's a point that I think is being more globally visible this cycle around. But for us Brazilians, we're used to this actually. We've had some pretty poor qualifying campaigns in years in which we've won the World Cup. 94 comes to mind. 2002 comes to mind as well. It was there was some rough stuff there in terms of it, and also to Jake Wetterly's point, because he pointed out the Zico never winning the World Cup for Brazil and the drought, not realizing the drought. Yeah, we're used to droughts like this. We had this sort of exact drought from 1970 until 1994. And this time around, it's a similar amount of years within
No,
that
not
drought.
similar. It's
So,
the same amount of
yeah,
years.
right. No, you're right. It is the exact same as of current. So,
And 94 was in the US and 2026 in the US. So
indeed,
if you want to
there's
get
parallels.
superstitious, there you have it. Obviously, not one thing. Brazil also historically does better in World Cups outside of Europe,
Mhm.
um, for the most part. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But don't be surprised if Brazil does win the next World Cup. Anyhow, the second half just started here. No changes from Flamengo as far as I can
Yeah,
see.
no changes from either side at the moment. But I guess the moral of the story is we're not superstitious, but we're a little bit stitious.
Michael
Let's just say
Scott.
that.
Michael Scott. But yeah, I wonder how long it's going to take for Flamengo to start moving around, getting Bruno Henrique in, even though Bruno Henrique might not be allowed to play soccer a year from now. Who knows?
My God.
But he has a, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Bruno Henrique is a very good forward from Flamengo, and he's with like a little bit of a betting case, kind of like
Yeah.
Lucas Paquetá, like similar situation, just different stories. Well, by the way, when is Paquetá's trial happening? When is he going to get banned?
I'm trying to remember when exactly that was set to take place. Oh, and Jeff, every time that I see the score 7-1 in a game, whether it's football manager or in real life, the PTSD flashbacks come back. Let's just put it that way. It will define me as a fan of this Brazilian national team until the day I die. Like that was a moment in the worst possible way for us. Uh, as for the Lucas Paquetá trial,
I'm looking it up right
um,
now. The investigation is still going on. Paquetá was charged in May of 2024, so it's been over a year. The
so they
trial, blah blah
found
blah.
something from the Guardian saying that the spot fixing trial ended, but they have to wait for the verdict for another 4 to 8 weeks, and that was published early June 4th is the date that I'm seeing here.
So this
So
summer we'll get the answer.
pretty much, yeah, probably before the Premier League starts is what I'm thinking we'll get that answer by.
Okay, and Flamengo here playing out of the back. Jorginho dropping deep.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, what was that pass from Jorginho?
yeah, not ideal there. And then somebody brought the point earlier. Flamengo's been playing well, but just they made one mistake and Chelsea capitalized on it. So right now it's outside of that one goal, it's been somewhat even keeled.
Someone's asking, wasn't Weston McKennie involved in a gambling case? Not really. It was something of like he was playing like online poker. So yeah, it's considered gambling, but there's a difference between you gambling and you gambling on games that you're playing and you
Yeah,
control the, like, no, McKenny was not involved in anything like that. It was just like online poker that I think wasn't really regulated. So
And
technically
Chelsea
legal,
just
but
won a pretty big
but
free kick here
yeah,
coming
he
up.
wasn't doing anything wrong on the field about it. No. It's just that what happens is when the media report on McKennie, they titled it in a way that it made it look like he did because they wanted to get more clicks. But no, he's not involved in any sports gambling. He was playing. He was just gambling. That's just gambling. Which you can gamble as a professional athlete. What you can't do is you can't really bet on yourself to get a yellow card and force that yellow card in the game. You can't do that. Oh, Cucurella almost got his head
Yeah.
on that, and that would have been a goal. Tonali did get banned for illegal gambling in England. Wasn't he gambling in soccer, though? It was on soccer, wasn't it? Tonali? I don't remember why, but yeah, he got banned for like a full season, Sandro Tonali. And he's now with Newcastle, or still is with Newcastle, if I'm not mistaken. Enzo Fernandez to Caicedo. Yeah, it's time for Flamengo to start making some subs here. They're not really creating good goal scoring
Yeah.
opportunities. That's the thing. Like I don't see where. Oh, that's going to be a corner kick for Flamengo.
Yep.
I,
Good set piece chance for Flamengo here coming up.
yeah, the thing is that's like the only way I can see them actually being dangerous here because I can't figure out where the goal is going to come from. It can only be set pieces the way Flamengo's been playing. I'm just not seeing it. So set piece here for Flamengo, corner kick.
Refs yelling at the guys there to stop pushing and shoving each other. There we go.
Well, Felipe Luis should probably get Pedro in. I mean, that's their best goal scorer. Their forward, Pedro.
Yeah.
That would be one. And then at some point, maybe
Oh,
give Bruno Henrique a shot over Gonzalo Plata or Luis Araújo. Those are the options. He does. I can check here again. He does have other good options off the bench. Cross goes in, clear another corner for Flamengo.
no, that's a goal kick apparently.
Oh, goal kick. Okay.
Yeah. But apparently touched the Flamengo guy on the way out. So
Yeah, they also have Everton Cebolinha. They have Mikael. They have options on the bench that can bring something different because Gonzalo Plata and Luis Araújo haven't really done anything. But definitely, if you need goals, like Pedro would probably be their number one option right now off the bench. And Jeff Carey said he was born with 3 testicles. You see, Jeff, there are certain information that you can just keep to yourself. That's one of them. You don't have to tell this to 80 people in the live chat.
pretty much.
As a matter of fact, I don't think you have to tell it to anyone besides your doctor. Probably should tell your doctor about that. Cross goes in from Flamengo, straight to Huss.
Then oh,
Do I believe Flamengo can come back? Look, the game is very well balanced. So, no, it's not. Oh, my goodness. Gerson, this could be number. No, cuts one. What is that finishing? Is that a goal? No, they missed.
no.
Flamengo just wasted this. Gonzalo
That shot,
Plata.
that shot from Jefferson should have been so much better. And then yeah, you just couldn't get the foot on the ball at the right angle to get that punch in. If he just caught that with his foot, that would have been in on the
Oh,
corner.
and Gonzalo
Easily.
Plata, why did he
Man.
use his left foot? If he had
Should
gone
have
with his
gone.
right.
Should have gone with the right easily. He gets that with his
Oh,
right foot. He taps that in, no questions.
that was an easy
Man,
goal with his right foot, but he went with his left.
those are the sort of chances you regret in a 1-0 game like this. Sanchez is down though.
Well, and here's the thing about this goal. It was a mistake from the Chelsea defense that gave it away.
Yep.
When Flamengo gave it away, Pedro Neto took care of business. And now when Chelsea gave them a chance, they can't score. Flamengo. So that's the difference between a higher quality player. Like obviously Pedro Neto is a much better player than
Okay. So it looks
Plata.
like Bruno Henrique and Léo Pereira are warming up out of the bench. So it seems like they're going to be the next subs coming up here.
Okay, so Bruno Henrique is on, and Léo Pereira is on the field already. Yeah, he's one of the center backs. So Léo
Oh,
Pereira was
sorry.
just getting water. I think it's just Bruno Henrique.
Oh, okay, gotcha. He was right next to Bruno Henrique, so it confused me for a second.
Probably Gonzalo Plata is coming off. I'm assuming.
That's what I would think as well.
Let's see. So Bruno
It's number
Henrique
10. So
10. So Arrascaeta.
wow, Ascaeta's getting. Then again, he's kind of been invisible this game throughout it, so I
But
kind of
he
get
is
it.
a guy that can win you a game.
Oh yeah,
Much
definitely.
higher odds. I don't know. It's just weird that also like Pedro's not playing. Maybe do you think Flamengo's just kind of like resting their players so they're focusing on beating LAFC because they know that's enough to go through?
Could be.
That's what it kind of
I'm
looks like.
trying to rate if Pedro got injured or something, and that's why they decided to keep him out of this game.
Well, the one thing I can't wrap my head around, I know this is not the difference maker of them winning this game or not, but when he benched their best center back, Leo Cheese, it just kind of looks like, okay, so are you resting some of your guys? Do you maybe they're
Oh,
just like maybe like try to go for a draw with Chelsea and then rest some of the guys and just go beat the shit out of LAFC? I don't know. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is
Chelsea
that a
just
goal?
missed the chance to ice it. No,
Oh,
the lab could have iced that right there and then, but then Pereira got a touch on it. That explains that.
yeah, that I don't know what the goalkeeper was doing there. And that was actually
Oh
pretty damn close. Cole Palmer
no,
inside. Flamengo clears it or doesn't clear it. What is going on here? The ref said play on. Pedro Neto. Cross goes in, and Rossi comes off the goal.
plus
And just,
he rushed that throw in way too much. Like a couple of the guys were not set in place for a quick counter like that.
also, Gonzalo Plata, for anyone doesn't know, he's one of the Ecuadorian players from the
Yep.
Ecuadorian national. Very good player, but I'm just confused. It's like Plata is playing as the 10 now with Arrascaeta out. And here comes Luis Araujo, and Plata is offside. Freaking dumbass. Felipe Luis doesn't
Honestly,
have
the
a center
stadium is
for.
pretty packed for the most part. Like I know some of the higher bowls look a little empty, but like the lower bowls are completely full, which again makes me think maybe they should have gone with a couple more MLS stadiums to do these games in, just to actually get a full
Yeah, it would have
sold out
sold
kind of
out.
environment. Yeah.
The Red Bull Arena would have been sold out.
Oh, easily. It probably would have been like 90% Palmeiras for both of the games there over the
Yeah, it looks a lot
opposition
better
too.
on TV. They should have done
Yeah.
that, and then for the knockout stages, move up to the bigger stadium. I don't know why
Yeah,
people.
To MetLife, Lincoln, and etc. So yeah.
It's funny because they overestimated the demand for the turn. It's been fine, but they overestimated that for. Oh, Flamengo with a good press, but Moises Caicedo
Yeah.
figures it out. Yeah, and they're saying in the chat that Felipe Luis doesn't have a freaking center forward. I don't
No.
understand it either. Why he's not playing Pedro? He needs a goal.
Mhm.
I don't get it. I don't know why Pedro is not playing unless he comes out and says that Pedro is like injured. Then I'll understand.
Yeah. Which who knows? We might hear that during like the post game press conferences and whatnot. What I
Yeah,
would say
30.
is specifically for FIFA, the screw up in this was okay. You got the 1 billion via the Saudis indirectly to do the zone deal to broadcast these games for free and get a couple on TV stations across the globe. That's great, but I think from a live experience perspective, these tickets should have been dirt cheap and they should have been advertised as such as like, hey, come see the best teams in the world play each other over
For
the next
$10.
month. Yeah, for $10. Make it a full kind of experience on that. And even if you have to take a hit in this tournament, you establish the popularity of it first. Then, as it grows more popular and you move it to more like soccer centric capitals, then maybe start charging a little bit more for your tickets at that juncture. But I think they just try to like price gauge because it's America that they were holding this on, and it backfired on them. So
Yeah. The thing is, they know in the World Cup they can charge these prices. Hopefully, they make it a bit cheaper in the World Cup just because of this. Even though the demand of the World Cup, they know they can charge. They know that.
yeah, again, I just think it was faulty marketing from their side of the spectrum on those.
Jeff Carey saying weekday afternoons are tough for attendance. Let's see about this weekend. That is true. Also, there were games
True.
that were played at noon, and people are working. No one's gonna take time off work to watch these not these friendly, sorry, these matches in the group stage. That's not gonna
Fuck.
happen. I almost said friendlies.
You almost gave the Europeans ammo, my man. You
Yep.
almost gave them ammo. Oh,
Let's see now. Flamengo with the ball. Wesley, Jorginho to Gerson. Okay, Gerson. Oh boy. Oh boy. Shoot it. Saved. What a
that's their
save from
best.
Sanchez.
That's their best chance they've had all game.
Now, if you have a center forward like Pedro, you're probably going to get a goal at some point with this.
Yeah, exactly. Like Sanchez, what a great save here. My goodness. Yeah, Jake, that makes sense because yeah, Juneteenth happened on Thursday. Yeah, as you mentioned, yeah, Juneteenth happened yesterday. Then today being Friday, probably just a 4-day weekend for a ton of folks as well if they're deciding to come out.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is also, not everyone had a holiday. So, but I think the weekend will be interesting to see Saturday and Sunday. Okay, Luis Araújo.
And Dragon, yes, that's a great point as well. With obviously like the ice threats of like them doing security, or all in as much quotations as I can muster it.
Ball goes wide. Gerson. Delivery.
I
Oh,
don't see a
oh,
flag.
goal, goal.
I don't see a flag.
That's a
It's
goal.
a
There's no
goal.
flag. Bruno
Bruno
Henrique.
Henrique immediately comes in and
You
makes
think
an
he
impact.
gambled on that? Do you think he gambled on that? The
Bet
gambling
on
that.
himself to score. That's
Remember Ivan
crazy.
Tony? Ivan Tony was betting on himself. He's like, I'm gonna score. He's like,
That is a brilliant bit of play from Flamengo to make that happen. My goodness.
where's the guy that said that the Brazilian teams can't compete with the Premier League teams? Like Flamengo's literally tying the fourth place team this season in the Premier League right now, 1-1.
Yeah, that's onside for sure. Yep,
It's
onside
onside.
on both counts. Brilliant play there from Flamengo.
Yep, it's on. It's on. It's a goal. It's a goal.
Very well done. And now the momentum's in full. It's full swing on Flamengo's side now with this.
Yeah. Honestly, get Pedro in at some point and kill it off.
Yeah, and try to kill it off. Yeah, definitely. Good Lord, man. That's the crazy thing. So far in this tournament, South American teams have gone unbeaten against European teams. Like that record is still very much intact if the score remains like this.
Well, and Flamengo's been outplaying Chelsea for the entire second half. And the first half was just kind of like very
Okay,
even.
substitution here. Delap is coming out, and then Nicholas Jackson's coming in now.
But again, Chris, the Europeans are just gonna say, we don't care about this tournament. That's all they're gonna say. They're just gonna say they don't care. But now 1-1, Flamengo and Chelsea. And as Chris said, the momentum has completely shifted in favor of Flamengo right now. And with 30 minutes to go, the odds of Flamengo actually winning this are much higher than Chelsea at this point. And again, Flamengo in Brazil is historically known for being a streaky team. When they go cold, they freeze. When they get hot, they burn you. So that is Flamengo. If you let them get hot, it's a streaky team no matter who's playing there. They've always been like that. They catch fire out of nowhere and they also freeze very easily. And right now they're catching fire. So the only way Chelsea could stun them is if they get a goal now, and then Flamengo would kind of like get stunned. But okay, and here comes Flamengo again. Gonzalo Plata to Gerson. Gerson's been really good today. Very good.
Okay.
Gonzalo
Real
Plata.
quick, because I saw a question coming up. Mr. Krabs asking if we would understand Portuguese from Angola or Cape Verde. I think so. We've been able to understand like Portugal's Portuguese, and I think Angola and Cape Verde's versions are a little bit closer to that than the Brazilian dialect. So I think there's obviously like a couple of different words, a couple of different things within it, but we can usually understand each other pretty well within that aspect. It's just the way that we speak it to one another that would be completely different. Oh,
Goal?
it happened. It happened again. Off the set piece.
Goal.
Flamengo just taking over this fucking game.
Bruno
My
Henrique.
God. Man.
Fourth place team in the best league in the world getting torched by a Brazilian club.
See, Bert, how are the balloons still on the pitch? Well, there was a lot of balloons. A fuck ton of balloons. And the winds are like not cooperating with them. So they just like, that's an incredible set piece. Bruno and he give it a great like header pass and then just and also I hate keepers when they react like, oh, they just raise their hands up, oh, offside, offside. Like, no, jump for the fucking ball. Try to make a save on it because you don't know for sure if that's offside or not. I
It's on. It
don't
was a
get it.
goal. It's a goal.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, so instead of complaining about, oh, it's offside, it's offside, like, no, try to make a save first, then complain about an offside afterward. Jesus Christ, man.
Dude. So essentially
Or
a
maybe just
Brazilian
turn this
club.
around within 20 minutes. That's crazy. Oh, this crowd is just going to go at a fever pitch now. If you thought they were acting up already when they were down 1-0, it's just going to go nuts.
Dude, and the way, like I said, Flamengo's streaky. It's 2-1. This can actually get ugly for Chelsea. It can be like 3-4-1 the way it's going.
Mm-hmm.
It was Danilo. I thought it was Bruno Henrique, the second goal.
No, Bruno Henrique had the assist on this one.
Okay, the assist.
Hit it with his head. Danilo got the foot on it to get it to go in.
It's actually pretty funny to see the Europeans mudded like this.
Honestly, one of my favorite reads throughout this whole tournament has been the Futebol Reddit. Just the memes have been on par. And again, for those, oh, it's a red.
Who got red?
Nicholas Jackson just
shit on Chelsea. Oh my God, that was nasty. That was actually nasty.
Blatant red right there. Good fucking God.
Dude, could have broken the guy's leg.
Oh, easily. You kidding me?
Yeah, he's not even complaining.
And if I'm Caicedo, I'm being real careful here to not get a second yellow from yelling at the refs.
It's funny because the Chelsea players are complaining, but Nicholas Jackson himself is just like, nah, I fucked up. He's like, nah, I fucked up, guys. But like the other guys are complaining. Nicholas Jackson is just like, yeah, his head is like down. He's like, dude, I could see it from here. I want to see the replay, but I could see it from the play like right away.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, well. Oh,
I'm gonna watch the replay. It was a pretty nasty tackle.
That's the kind of thing that can break a shin unironically. Holy shit.
Ooh. He got lucky not to break his leg.
Seriously. No, that I completely understand the ref just giving that a straight red. No issues with that. It's not like the Vega tackle from the Ali game yesterday where he brought the studs back just in time and it didn't get called back as a yellow. Like this was just a blatant.
Yeah, and he seems upset with the mistake. Well, he came off the bench.
Yeah,
so. But again, he doesn't care, Chris. He doesn't care. Look at that. He doesn't care. Where's that Chelsea fan that was in the chat here just being annoying? Where is
Not
he?
really memeing it as much anymore from the looks of it. But as I was saying, the Egi Futebol, for those who are not familiar with Brazilian meme culture, we outdo the Americans from time to time on that aspect. Like Brazilian culture with memes on the internet is nuts, especially when it comes to footy slash soccer slash couch or whatever you want to call it. So it's been a blast to see the memes over the last couple of days. Just people going crazy with those.
Okay, Chelsea now at the ball. Minute 69. Nice. We
Nice.
hit minute 69. Nice. It's dude, they're getting a comeback win against Flamengo, against Chelsea. Which, like I said a few minutes ago, I wasn't once Chelsea got the lead and the way things were going, I didn't expect it. But as soon as they got the goal, they've been dominating Chelsea. Now Chelsea's man down. If
Yep.
I'm Flamengo, I go all in. Get 3, get 4, make a statement at this point. But
Also
definitely
trying to
don't
mount
concede.
something here.
Don't
Yeah,
concede.
then again, it's the history of Flamingo. They could catch fire and go 3-1, 4-1, but they could also easily just do something really stupid here and let Chelsea tie it with a couple of minutes to go too. That's not out of bounds for Flamengo. Omar Sub music with question: are there other English chats discussing Brazilian football? There's a couple of places you'll find here and there. I believe there is like a Botafogo specific YouTube channel that speaks of the team in English, even more so now with Texter being like, proprietor of the club via the Safi for them. Tim Vickery is kind of an incredible journalist who lives in Rio at the moment and covers Brazilian football for the BBC as well. So he's another really good source in terms of South American football news from a like English speaking perspective as well. Um, Off the top of my head, though, I think Talk and I are kind of like not to toot our own horn, but I think we are two people who fit a very, very specific niche of Brazilian-born English speakers that are covering like the sport within YouTube under a microscope that isn't of like an European or North American perspective. For us providing the South American perspective to an English-speaking audience, if you will.
Now, for what's going on in the game now, it might be time also for Felipe Luis to put on some fresh legs as well.
Yeah,
Like someone mentioned in the chat too, seems very tired. And if you get Jorginho out, you can put maybe Allen in the midfield. He does have a lot of quality. He can
yeah.
find.
Like Jorginho is an old man at this point. You gotta like not wear him out during the
Well,
group
and
stages.
you can also like replace Gonzalo Plata or Luis Araújo for someone with fresh legs, like Everton maybe can come on, right? Or Mikael, right? You can get some of these guys in, or honestly, just remove one of them and put Leo Ortiz. He has a lot of
Yeah,
quality with his
could be.
pass.
Yeah.
You put Danilo still as a center back, and you push Wesley as like a right wing back. There's a lot of things that he can do here to just secure this win because he's playing man up also, and Chelsea's going to have to come out. You can probably kill off this game soon, but you can't really keep dragging this 2-1 lead. You have to try to get the third goal and complete. Just kill off Chelsea while you can. Kill it off.
And Doc, here's the point that I'm going to make that I think might be spicy for a couple of European kind of footy fans and Chelsea fans specifically. But in this particular Chelsea team, Stevon, Kendrick Paez, and Andres Santos could easily be starters this next season immediately.
Yeah, the
I
way they've
think
been
they're better
playing,
than
yeah.
a lot of the current core of guys that they have there right now. And that includes a couple of the newly brought in folks there as it is, like in my
Yeah,
opinion.
Estevão, my only concern would be the whole physicality of the Premier League. But I mean, if some of these scrubs can play there, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
he can.
exactly. To me, I think unironically, you could try Stevon at midfield, which is where he's naturally like that's his natural position to begin with. He just has been moved to the wings by a belt over recent years because it gives him kind of a better environment for those one-on-ones. But he is like a pass. He is like a creator and a distributor with like the primary aspects of this game where they could move him back to midfield and get results out of him, no questions asked. Like him and Andres Santos would be really interesting as a double pivot situation in their midfield there to see how that worked out for them. And try to
But
get them to link up with a couple of those guys.
It's pretty insane how the Brazilian clubs have been getting insane results against a lot of these European sides, and some of them outplaying. Like Flamengo is outplaying Chelsea right now.
Yeah,
Whatever people want to say, they are outplaying Chelsea. Palmeiras completely outplayed Porto. We also saw Fluminense completely outplay Borussia Dortmund.
Dortmund. Yeah,
Yesterday, I wouldn't say Botafogo outplayed PSG, but they definitely they found a way to deserve the win. Also, they didn't really let PSG create much, which is
exactly.
which is really tough. PSG, they won the Champions League final 5-0. 5-0. This is like a really, really freaking good team that grew throughout the season in Europe. They were struggling earlier in the season. It's just it's just incredible what the Brazilian clubs are doing right now. Now, I do stand by what I said, that I still think that a European giant will win the Club World Cup. But with the results that are happening right now, would it be too crazy to say there is a chance that some club from outside of Europe wins this? Very, very small, but there might be some
I
chance.
don't think the odds are slightly bigger at this point, just because I think there's been proof that South American sides are taking this as a hey, it's 7 games to glory kind of scenario rather than thinking about it in like a long-term league. In cup situations, upsets can happen, especially once you start getting into these knockouts where it is just 1 game and it's a do or die situation. So who knows?
Yeah, it's been pretty insane to see. But
And again, the result is if Flamengo gets first place in their group, that gives them a far more advantageous matchup in the round of 16 where they can make a quarterfinal. Jefferson, come on, man. You can't just shoot it straight at the fucking keeper. Make him die for it at the very least.
he's tired too. I think it's reached the
He
point where
definitely
he's
is.
tired. Tomorrow,
Paris, com
Fluminense
São
plays,
Paulo,
right?
vamos, tamo junto.
I mean, Fluminense tomorrow, I'm assuming they'll beat the South Korean team. And as long as they do that, the Brazilian clubs are undefeated and just
Yep,
balling out.
pretty much.
And the way things are going, pretty high odds of all four advancing.
Yeah.
Pretty high odds for maybe I'll prepare a video for Sunday. It's going to be a lot of work, but maybe I can make a video about this on Sunday because I'm been watching this and it's been quite incredible to see everything that's going on. They're saying there's
Oh
a
yeah,
good chance Flamengo or Palmeiras could get to the final.
yeah.
It's tricky. We have to see the bracket too.
Yeah, I
They're
think
definitely playing at a high
with the
level.
brackets, I believe there is a possibility that Palmeiras Flamengo could be quarterfinal, depending on how the groups what I remember. But I think at most, I think at best it would be a quarterfinal. At worst, probably a final, depending on how they all do. That's still very much. It's too early to tell. Tak, I did send you something over on the private chat over on StreamYard, so just let me know if you're able to see it there. Quick thing here.
Okay, I'm adding you here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Uh, I did send you that before, but there you go. Got it.
Oh, perfect. Let me.
All right, now Flamengo here at the ball at the goalkeeper, and just anyone that tuned in now, Chelsea's playing man down at this point, but Flamengo already had the lead when Nicholas Jackson got a red card, rightfully so. It was terrible, terrible move from him.
Yeah.
Almost broke the opponent's leg. So
Yeah, I could say like if Chelsea was still up, if it was still 11 versus 11, Chelsea could have easily had a chance to like find a means to tie it, but the man down thing is just hurting them immensely on this one. Perfect. Yeah, I just got you added on and sent you something through there as well. So now better.
what's gonna be funny. It's later today if Bayern, that is clearly taking this seriously, struggles or doesn't beat Boca.
Yeah, Boca. That's going to be very interesting because that Boca crowd in Miami, they turned up for that Benfica game massively. I am expecting probably more of that, especially since it's a Friday night in Miami for them to turn up against Bayern. Because if they can get a draw against Bayern, I think that's a win for this Boca side with how bad they've been throughout the year.
So they're asking if I'm doing a live watch along for Fluminense tomorrow. I probably won't because I'm thinking about making a video about these performances in the group stage, and then I'll do one after too as well. But I'm thinking about doing a video about that. And if I do that, I'm probably gonna have to work tomorrow all day to get it out by
Yeah,
Sunday.
it's going to be a busy weekend for me because I do have both like in a football manager tournament right now that I'm playing like the on the 16th of tomorrow against the guy over in England. So we're setting up the time, so I'll be up super early for that. And then I still am trying to finish that Zico script and then start recording it as soon as I can to get that into production along with watching the games on like a second screen. So if I do a live stream, it will definitely just be probably the Palmeiras Inter Miami game on Monday. So yeah, it's going to be interesting because from Monday on, it's basically two games going on at the same time because they're determining like the final points within groups as to not have like I guess clubs being influenced by certain results and what have you. So
Okay, now two subs here for Flamengo. Varela is coming on, probably right back. And is it Wallace? Yeah,
seems
Wallace.
like it.
Wallace
Yeah.
is also coming on.
Oh
So Chelsea here with a set piece. I'm assuming it wasn't a goal.
no, thankfully
This Club World Cup can be a good thing. Like, look at this. And
for that
so
exactly.
it's interesting for Brazil can probably market itself to an international market by getting these positive results against global teams, like massive teams.
Yeah, and I think the sooner they try to figure out their whole um, the different alliances that they have there with Libra and whatnot as to like figuring out television rights to actually globalize the Brazilian game and get that broadcast to more markets. Like the sooner they can do that, I think the better because there's also going to be like licensing rights involved, which means you can get these clubs and these players in video games, like things that are actually like more. Because really, if we think about it, not a lot of people are familiar with um, specific leagues, but they know players that they play like FIFA slash EAFC or Football Manager with. And if you can get the Brazilian licensing in these games and whatnot and get these Brazilian players better known, I think it'll do wonders for the league. I think from a South American standpoint, it should ideally be something that they try to do more of over the next couple of years to try to increase the profile, not just Brazilian football, but South American football as a whole on like a global type of presence. So personally, I would love to see it.
Chelsea fans are saying that Maresca has been outcoached massively by Felipe Luis. I don't even know if that's true because Felipe Luis actually was struggling earlier in the game. I think he made some
He made
mistakes.
some better adjustments to the second half. I think the Bruno Henrique substitution definitely worked out wonders on that. But here's the thing with Felipe Luis. He is still technically like his second year of coaching.
Well, it's also just one of those where it's like, oh, here comes Flamengo. Oh, what happened? What? Oh, is that a goal?
It
Three
is.
one.
They just walked it off. Again, here's the thing. Felipe Luis is like in his technically like his second year of coaching officially now. And the guy actually has already like three different trophies to his name. Like this guy, in my opinion, will be a great coach with time and practice, and if the Brazilians don't chew him up and spit him out. But like right now, he will have a couple of stumbles here and there. But be on the lookout for him as a coaching prospect over the next couple of years out of Brazil.
3-1 for Flamengo against Chelsea. Unreal. It could be four. There's still 10 minutes
Unreal.
left, roughly.
Yep. And another substitute scoring immediately after coming off the bench.
Oh God, like 3-1, and it could. I at this point, honestly, I don't like Flamengo, but just freaking make it four. Just make it
Yeah,
four.
just go for it. Go all out. Like make it a full beat 'em down situation at this point. Man, that is I was not expecting a 3-1 result. I will say this: I was not expecting a 3-1 result. And again, if I'm Gianni Infantino right now, I am like full on erect at a result like this. Because not only is this sort of like good for the FIFA Club World Cup, but this is also sticking it to UEFA in a massive way in the process too.
So they're saying here the hate watch was unsuccessful. I wouldn't say it was unsuccessful. That's what I'm saying. I don't like Flamengo, and but the thing is the way the Europeans have been behaving towards the tournament and towards the accomplishment of other teams, it does make me a little bit happy to see Flamengo beat Chelsea due to this context. I don't like Flamengo, and I hope they get knocked out soon in the Club World Cup. But there's just something special about an arrogant person getting slapped in the face. There's just something special about it. And that's what we're witnessing here today. Not really about the Chelsea players. I'm talking about the fan base because the players have been respectful. They've been playing the tournament and they've been playing hard.
It's the
And
players specifically have had no issues with because usually they are taking this seriously and they will tell you as much in stories and like press conferences. Well, it's the fandom that is annoying. So
and what is he saying again? Wicked Brew saying so bad from my Blues. Maresca f this up from the start. Sell Jackson, Gusto terrible. Yeah, it was bad, but it was also Flamengo just outplaying. You got to remember one thing, Wicked Brute. Flamengo's a very strong team. It's just because, like I said, we don't see them in the video game. We don't see a bunch of shit, right? That actually people don't watch the Brazilian league and all of that. But this is a very strong team that would give a hard time to any of the top teams in Europe. You saw Botafogo, that in my opinion is a worse team than Flamengo. They defeated PSG yesterday. That was the team that just destroyed Inter Milan in the Champions League final. Destroyed. So
yeah.
I think just because Brazilian clubs are not on FIFA and once again and all that,
They're not in the global Y, literally.
Yeah,
Now.
people don't care.
So it's man. But I think also not only is this like a great advertisement for Brazilian football, this is also a great advertisement for the Copa Libertadores, to be completely honest, because this is the kind of intensity we're used to seeing in the Libertadores every single year. It's an incredible tournament. Like if broadcasting rights can find their way to like North America and Europe for the Libertadores, even if you're not familiar with the teams, where they're from, histories and stuff like that, I think people would just have a dope time watching like really good football out of this tournament. So, and the crowd screaming "My Zoom, one more!" Incredible. Oh no, Wicked Brew, I completely understand on that. Like with the roster that Chelsea has and the talent that you guys have, especially young talent, it should be a much closer matchup. So I completely get where you're coming from with the critiques on that end of the spectrum there, for sure.
I'm putting out a tweet of an old video of mine. You probably remember this video. It was the first one that went viral about why the Brazilian clubs are doing so well now, financially and everything. And I was mocked by many people in the comment. You look at the comments, you'll see Europeans, mostly Premier League fans, obviously mocking me. And I'm gonna share it. If you guys can go share this tweet, just go share it, just to piss them off, because we've been talking about this, the money in the Brazilian league and the quality, the youth development, the intensity, the passion. It's just kind of showing in the Club World Cup, everything that we've been talking about for months.
Yeah. But it's also a situation which, again, one of the really interesting aspects that's Tack described on that particular video with certain aspects of the growth of Brazilian football. Eventually, at some point, Tack, we may have to collab on a video specifically talking about sort of like gambling sponsors in Brazil becoming as big of a deal as they happen, and a lot of the investment on a lot of advertisers on shirts for Brazilian teams specifically kind of going the same way that a lot of European leagues have been, where it's been betting sponsors primarily, like making these teams a fuck ton of money that allows them to invest in player sales, bring them in, selling them out, et cetera, et cetera. So there's aspects, there's levels to this stuff, to say the least.
Yeah, and everyone, this is the tweet that I'm saying that I just put out. If you guys can, just share this video. Just share this specific video here.
Do it.
It's just go to the Twitter Manager Tactical. It's the first tweet that's out.
It's an incredible video too, by the way.
It took me I think it took me a whole week of research with that shit. It's pretty crazy of how accurate it's being in the. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think the Brazilian clubs are doing better than I expected in the Club World Cup. I expected them to do well, but it's been pretty remarkable so far. I mean, I didn't expect. I mean, did anyone expect Botafogo to beat PSG?
I hoped, but I wasn't expecting it. No.
No one expected it.
Like, optimistically, I was thinking maybe they get a 0-0 draw if they play them in like a low block like they were doing, and then that Igor Jesus goal with both incredible bits of passing and also just sheer fucking luck with that deflection too. But sometimes, yeah, you have to create your own luck, which is what Botafogo did that game. So the Olas are coming in now for all the passes.
Very much deserved.
This is where you know it's beat them down territory when the Olas start coming out.
Dude, it just really makes me want to go to Miami on Monday for this game. It's going to be crazy. Palmeiras and Inter. The reason I wanted to go was because, Chris, as a Palmeiras fan, did you ever think Palmeiras would play against Messi?
No, never thought it would happen in my lifetime.
It's happened.
And the fact that it's Estevam before going to the Europe matchup against Lionel Messi, there's some juicy stuff in and of itself. Remember, Estevam, for the longest time, as he was coming up for the academy ranks over at Palmeiras, he was called Messinho for a very, very good reason. So,
yeah, unbelievable. So after PSG was defeated by Botafogo, Flamengo defeats Chelsea, Palmeiras outplays Porto, Fluminense outplays Borussia Dortmund, and it's looking more and more likely that all four Brazilian clubs will advance to the knockout rounds of the Club World Cup. Pretty unbelievable. And Chelsea here completely defeated. Now, Chelsea will go through because who do they play? They play Esperance last, right?
Yeah, they're playing. Yeah, they're playing the Tunisian side because LAFC and ES Tunis are playing today. And then, yeah, it's basically Flamengo versus LAFC and then Chelsea versus ES playing on the final matches. So I think this game is basically your first and second place teams. It's just a matter of like goal differentials on the final matchup.
Thiago Martins is saying, good day for us Brazilians. We needed something good.
Precisávamos sim. Obrigado pelos R$2. Tamo junto.
Every day in the Club World Cup has been good for the Brazilian teams. Every day. We haven't really had a bad day yet. I think the only day that I was frustrated was when Palmeiras tied Porto. It just felt like we should have won that. I was frustrated.
That game took about a year of my life because of the 4 or 5 different chances that Palmeiras missed of actually getting goals. The finishing was terrible.
Jeff Carey saying, you guys can't root for Boca. Brazil hates Argentina and vice versa. Yeah, but I'm kind of enjoying just the European tears right now. I'm enjoying them crying and just like whining about things. If Boca goes there and gets a result, I wouldn't mind it. Obviously, I don't want an Argentina team to win the whole Club World Cup, and I don't think they will. But I'm enjoying the downfall of European football here in this edition. I'm very much enjoying it, every second of it.
For me, the perspective right now is the Brazil-Argentina feud is back on the moment these teams meet in the round of 16 or once the competition is over. But until then, it's South America versus everybody. So there is admittedly, there is a bit of tribalism to go with that at the moment, but it's been enjoyable seeing the South American clubs look at the European opposition and go, no, fuck you. We're not just like surrendering to you that easily because you have 10 times the amount of resources and money to get players compared to like our leagues and our teams. So
Herc saying that I'm gonna be insufferable on X, and I'm just gonna use the Zagallo quote: "Vocês vão ter que me engolir."
so, exactly. Or the Hinata Fiverr quote from yesterday, basically saying that football graveyards are full of favorites. The rough translation of it, which I'm like, that's as hard of a quote as Ange gave us all season with Tottenham. Like, that's crazy. Incredible. And tell her, yeah, we are going to be insufferable about this for a while.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna understand the quote. What did Thanos say? I am inevitable.
It's the Thanos they called me a madman quote.
Let me see if I didn't miss anyone here. Thiago Martins also saying, "Do you have any idea of how the European media is doing? They just keep parroting the same shit. They keep saying the clubs don't care. This is a summer turn, even though the players are not saying that, the coaches are
Yeah.
not saying that. And honestly, Chelsea played with intensity today.
Yeah.
It's just the media and parts of the fan base. The players itself, they've been very professional about it. They've been looking good actually for the most part, playing normal. They're just struggling with multiple things.
Here's my perspective on it. When it comes to these competitions, sure, some players will rightfully complain about congestion issues and stuff like that, which is an understandable plight that needs to be, I think, addressed on the global scale when it comes to the amount of games that these players do play over the course of a season. But I think people underestimate that guys that are getting paid to play a sport that they love, that the only other thing that they probably love more than that is to win and to win trophies. So if there's an opportunity to go out there, play the sport that you love, and win a trophy, doing so and calling yourself the best, why wouldn't players and coaches go for that sort of a thing? And I think we do see that with the European teams playing these accordingly, maybe a couple of rotations here and there to keep legs fresh.
Well, also
It's
add the
just
fact that
fandoms
there's
that
a
get
lot of money in
really,
this
really
tournament.
fucking annoying about it.
There's also a lot of money in this
Exactly.
tournament, which, I mean, people are going to say they're not in it for the money. I mean, guys, like, it's just,
They are.
we always are. Like, we work for money. Like, obviously the players want more money. Of course, like this tournament is new, so it doesn't have the tradition and the history that a Champions League has. But at some point, the Champions League was also new when it was created.
Exactly.
So I do think they will eventually embrace it, but it looks like the clubs already have embraced it. Did Chelsea score?
Man,
Did they?
it happened. It happened.
Oh, it ended. I thought Chelsea scored.
No. Just 3-1.
Another one bites the dust.
The dust. Yes, sir. What a time. Well,
Unreal.
this was I'm not sure if this was exactly a hate watch, love watch, somewhere in between, but it was a fun watch with everybody who did come in for it. So thank you all for being here with us for this. We do sincerely appreciate it.
Yeah, we're smoking that UEFA pack today.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy, 1 second. It will be pretty funny if if the winner of the tournament is not a European side. That will be
Oh,
the
God.
funniest thing.
Could you imagine just the meltdown of these particular like European centric outlets? And just the mere concept that one of their own couldn't get it done.
Anyhow, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Go subscribe to Chris's channel, Brazilian Fury. It's in the description of this video. So all you have to do is just click on it, go there, check out his videos. If you like Brazilian content, he also does it in English. And make sure to share our videos, my videos, his videos with any Brazilian football fan that you think might enjoy this type of content. That'll help us grow. And we want to continue to grow this. We want to continue to increase the coverage of the Brazilian league, of Brazilian football, Brazilian culture, and the Brazilian national team in English to the entire world. So if you guys can help us, just share the videos. And Chris, any final thoughts before we go?
No, I think just in terms of where to find us, we have kind of our socials all over the place. Mine tends to be pretty uniform between Twitter/X, Insta, YouTube as well. So go for those. My latest video was about the Club World Cup being fine, but the Euro snubs being the problem, where I just sort of shit on Europe for a majority of the video in and of itself. And turns out history is justifying me just a little bit so far into this tournament. So I'm
Everyone,
excited.
we'll see you guys soon. On Sunday, I'll probably release a video about the Brazilian clubs. Chris is actually working on a secret video that I cannot leak, but you guys will love it. It's about a Brazilian legend. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye. All right. See you guys.